Amazon CEO Playbook, build, scale, and exit a business worth millions. And then I added this last part in because you guys loved it when I was doing the poll the other day to create generational wealth, which is exactly what it will do. So if you guys are new here or don't know me at all, that would be odd, but welcome. And just wanted to give you a quick background on myself. That way, you know who keeps inviting you to these sessions. My name is Seth Stevens. I started selling on Amazon way back in 2013. By 2014, started creating my own brands, kind of created a little brand factory, ended up creating more than 50 brands and launching more than 1,000 private label products. Fast forward 18 months into starting on Amazon, and we're doing $1 million a month and started selling these brands that we were creating. And it ended up creating life changing amounts of wealth for me. So I know that what we're talking about today is super important. It actually works. I've done it several times. And our special guest, Neil, today has done it even more than I have and helped others just like you get to the promised land, which is, building the business all the way through exit and selling something of value. Now I no longer run my own brands. I've exited all of them, or shut them down, depending on where they ended up. But now I run Seller Growth Network, which is the where I'm inviting you guys to these sessions every week. I'm bringing on special experts, the top sellers in all of Amazon. Sometimes we'll be talking about Shopify, but it's everything e-commerce related. So if you're new here, now you know. If you want today's replay, here's how you get it. Just go to sellergrowthnetwork.com/replay. And of course, we're live right now, but once it's rendered, I will be sending it out to you. So sign up there to get the replays. And when it's rendered, probably either later today or tomorrow, you'll have that hit your inbox. And if you're not in the WhatsApp group yet for Seller Growth Network, then scan this QR code and get in there. I not only post information about the sessions that we do and the replays, but sellers are in there interacting, sharing strategies, sharing things that are working now, sharing the struggles from the trenches of Amazon, the trenches of e-commerce. There's a couple new groups in the community of Seller Growth Network if you're not in there yet. So if you just clicked on Seller Growth Network, like I'm showing you here, you'll see you're in the announcements groups, which is where I'm going to post links like invites to sessions like today. I'll post replays there. You'll also see a group dedicated to $1 million plus sellers. So if that's you and you're not in there yet, apply and then send me a screenshot of your revenue and I'll approve you to get into the group. We're going to be doing some really special things with that group. And then lastly, I just created this group the other day. We have a dedicated Shopify group. So if you care about anything to do with growing your Shopify channel, join that group as well. And we're going to be sharing strategies. And there's a bunch of sellers in there already talking through, how do we get an edge on Shopify? All right, so let's just jump straight into the session today. The Amazon CEO Playbook, build, scale, and exit a business worth millions to create generational wealth. I want to introduce you to Neil Twa. He's the CEO of Voltage Holdings. He has done all kinds of amazing things in the e-commerce land on Amazon. He has helped build some of the biggest businesses in all of Amazon. He has helped many, many sellers build their businesses all the way through exit, including one that he just told me about the other day, where he helped a seller sell their brand last year for $72 million. He has helped businesses go from stuck at $30,000 a month to massive, a $13 million profitable business on Amazon. It's insane. Neil, I'm so excited to welcome you to the Seller Growth Network session today to talk about how do you actually take Amazon seriously, operate your business like a CEO, and grow something big that can actually make a meaningful difference. Welcome, Neil.
Hey Seth, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. That's a great
Yeah.
introduction, dude. You do that really well.
Hey, thank you, man. I practice it every week.
I bet you do.
So,
Good
Neil,
stuff.
I absolutely am thrilled to have you on. I know that people that are interested in building something big and meaningful are kind of rare. So, everybody that's here, say hi in the chat box. You guys are a special breed because a lot of sellers are actually like hobby sellers. They just want to do this to kind of, boost their income, their lifestyle a little bit. But some sellers, some brand builders want to take it
Yeah,
seriously and
yeah.
build something big and incredible. So kudos to all you guys for hanging out with us today. Neil's going to blow your mind. I've already seen the deck. You're really in store for a lot today. Neil, go ahead.
Well, awesome. I hope to live up to that today, guys. That's a great accolade. And what I want to do is try to keep it focused on you guys. I will share a little bit about me, and later on we'll talk about my company. But for now, what I want to do is just do a best job I can to provide some value for you today for showing up and spending some of your precious time with me. I know time is a commodity we don't get more of. We can't make more of it. We can make more money, but we can't make more time. So I appreciate you spending some of it with me today. That's very important. Hopefully, we'll stick around long enough to give you some value at some level today. So what I'm going to do is share the slides, and we're going to get going here on this because I have a lot of content to share today. And what we want to do is talk about the growing of a business with a specific intent and purpose, and that is to create generational wealth. Now, I know you might have thought, well, Neil, that's why I'm in business. That's why I started a business. That's, why I'm trying to get the business going. That's why I'm doing it full time now, or why I'm a W-2er who's trying to get to that place, or why I, have started my side hustle or hobby business, but I don't really want to keep it that way. I want to grow it and go it. I want to see it actually turn into something for my family that creates that ability for growth to lead to freedom. And of course, that opportunity can come from the exit. So as we talk today, there are specific points that I want to cover. There are 5 steps of a business building foundation fundamental I want to go over. And within those 5 steps, now there are 8 operating principles that are backed, managed, owned, controlled, and only approved by you as the CEO through an AI operating system. So I'm going to combine 2 of those things today for you all as you show up. And I do have some things for you that will be free for you to take away from today, just a bonus for hanging out with me that I hope you will see and get value from that you guys can use in your business starting today. Not only the information, but some actionable items that I hope you will take. So you may have been somebody who built something already. As I mentioned, you might be getting going. You may have a business already, customers, sales. You may even be on more channels than just Amazon, or you might just be on Amazon right now, which is okay for a certain point. But then once we break past a certain ceiling, we want to stop being in a single point of failure, and that's a single channel business. So while it may be the first engine, should not be the only engine by which you run your business. And there's reasons we're going to talk about that in detail today. But really, we need to keep the numbers honest, which means we have to look at the numbers in the right way. As Jim Collins said in Good to Great, we have to pick the rock up and look at the ugly, squiggly things underneath it so that we get the numbers honest and we really see where we truly are, right? And to make sure that we are putting focused work towards the activities we're trying to accomplish so that we don't take activities and mask them as productivities, okay? And that being that you need to change some of the way you think about what you're doing today. So as we get off, I just want to clarify who I'm speaking to today so that I can ensure that I'm speaking to the right level of understanding in the room. I'm not going to assume that all of you are sellers, but if you could please tell me where you are in this, if you are selling now or not selling at all, that'll kind of help me understand where you guys are coming at from. Appreciate it. I see Richard. I see Osama. Vinny. Please, if I get your name wrong, don't hurt me. I see Shauna, Kurt. Okay, Adam. Nice to see you all. Hamid, Annette. Okay, selling now, selling now. Okay, awesome. Chris, others not selling. Okay, some people are not selling. That's fine. Javier from Spain. Hi, Javier. And we got Ryan says you're doing WooCommerce, aiming for Amazon in a few months. Okay, Richard. All right, cool. We're getting a pretty close. Actually, a majority of you appear to be sellers, which is awesome. Just sold, might start another. Congrats, Mike. That's amazing. All right, just going through here. I just want to get a gauge and I'll turn this off for a second. And if you have any questions, go ahead and just ask them and I'll try to get back to them as we go along here and as we talk and continue to interact in that. That's helpful to let me know that I'm providing you value today and you guys are continuing to stay involved. That'd be awesome. So you probably know this. Those of you have heard about it. You've been on some webinars, heard people talking about the shift that's occurring. There's an AI shift, there's a demand shift, there's a market shift, there's a channel shift that's occurring. As it's moving across different channels, the question really gets down to where do we put our time, energy, attention, and money? And in the component that we see happening of business change occurring, we see the demand creation of something like TikTok Shop really taking social commerce and pushing it forward, right? And we also see the capture intent, which is Amazon or the demand capture platform. It has become now, even though it was a demand creation platform, 12, 13, 14 years ago, it has now become a capture engine, an overflow, if you will, where search ads, and other shopping intent ends up on Amazon as a trusted resource, right? And making sure that we obviously keep our customers. That's customer intent outcome. That's SMS, messaging, email. That's the back end. That's ensuring that if they're on Shopify, that we get email, SMS, and flow over or WooCommerce or wherever. to ensure that we are capturing that customer data for repeat marketing, for repeat lifetime value targeting, to get our dialed in numbers and ensure we can grow the business as far as we want to go, and to build a multi-channel opportunity. And to do it in the right time. That's one of the things I want to talk about today as we go forward, because there's a time for everything. And sometimes it's best to focus in one location and build that location and then quickly build redundancy as you meet certain metrics, but to not to try to eat, as they say, the entire elephant at once. So let's understand that TikTok can create that demand engine and that cycle. Amazon can capture that both on organic, search, paid media, and social commerce. And really, Shopify can keep the customer through engagement, email, SMS, even direct mail, and other opportunities for live streaming and things you can do directly to those folks because you control that audience. And that becomes a powerful thing in your business, worth a lot of money when you make sure that it's done correctly. So we call the room the ability to be and have an advantage. You are in a room right now and you have an advantage. Being in the room means that you are close to those who are doing it. You are gleaning information, opportunity, learning, networking, potentially mentoring from operators and others who are doing it in the business. Your peers that are around you that kind of share what they're doing and hopefully, giving you an opportunity to get a leg up. And most importantly, in my world, it's accountability that turn decisions into actions so that you know exactly what you should be doing next, right? And one of the ways we've been able to do that in a more systemized format is something we call Cayman Data AI. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the room is really 80%. The AI systems technology as an enabler is something that is really 20% of the business. Now, I hear everybody thinking it's 80%, 80%, we got to do all this. And I'm going to flip this on its head a little bit and invert your thinking today because I really want you to think about the fundamentals of business first, the growth and structure of a real business dedicated and an operator who's dedicated to that. And then how do I enable myself through technology, processes, maybe SOPs built into skills and certain technology sets that allow me to put all of this into one conglomeration, if you will. So the room is not another tool. Now, Kelly had mentioned something about this, a bulletproof system that I'm going to talk about today. A community, a tight-knit community, a one-on-one guidance he mentioned that helped him create an opportunity for true multi-generational family business. He's gotten his daughter involved now. So he started out building, growing, coaching the community, and the actionable items helped him move forward. We're going to continue to expand on why the 80/20 principle is the most important activity you should be focused on now. Why? I'm going to be speaking to you as a CEO operator, even if you're not there yet. Sounds like a few of you are. Congrats again, Mike, because you became a CEO operator to your exit and sounding like you want to do it again, which is super cool. So the speed of knowledge and the ability to move people to the outcome through coaching, operators, accountability, and systems is the difference in how you grow at certain levels of the business, whether you're growing at 10 to 100K a month, 100K to a million a month, or above a million a month, and what those kinds of things should look like, how they should operate, and the expectations of you not only getting there, but what you should be doing when you start to reach those kinds of numbers. And if you don't understand that, if you stagnated, if you haven't moved forward, that's some of the things I'm hoping to unlock for you today, not just mentally, but through action and accountability. So the blocks are we're going to go through today. Well, first are what the heck do I sell? You can put any explicitive you want into that, but it is the biggest question for the most successful outcome of any business. What do you actually sell? Sales fixes everything. Okay. Repeat after me in the comments. Sales fixes everything. If you get that, you
Hey, I've
understand
been there
what I'm talking
before,
about.
Neil.
Yep, sales
Sales
fixes
fixed my business so many times.
what the heck do I actually sell? And then we're going to go through the numbers that help us hold accountability, not to just what do we think the numbers should be, not even what we want the numbers should to be, but the actual math of the numbers. What does the numbers and math actually mean? How does it affect the customer need and intent of the products we are selling, should be selling, or could be selling next? And of course, something we say, don't marry the product, steal someone else's girlfriend instead. Test, then fund products, and only put good money and cash and inventory and marketing after products that should be married. A lot of people in the seller world get stuck marrying products, and I want you to get past that. You don't marry the product till you should prove that you should put a ring on it, okay? I'm a married man. I'll get to that in a minute. So this is a play on words. But the girlfriends are all the other product opportunities you could be selling, should be selling, and maybe want to go after. because the opportunity to win today through consolidation is a river of information. Amazon is a river, but it's also a tree, right? It's called a Kapok. And in the Kapok tree being the largest tree in the Amazon, there is a lot of information flowing through these systems now that are AI enabled and backed, not just from Amazon, but every other platform on the internet that is now using similar technology and crossover. Some of you have seen that. Some of you have felt it in your business. Some of you are wondering, well, how do I go get more of it? That's going to be the traffic conversation that we're going to talk about, how to unlock that traffic that can become, if not careful, a hyper growth situation you need to be careful with because everybody loves the idea of a hyper growth business type of thing. But there are two components of a failure in business. We'll talk about that during that part of the session. You don't want to be caught in either one of those. And the last one, what I call the platinum principle, and that is literally building from that first step all the way through to the end, which is the exit. That is the goal in mind, not to be caught up in the middle section of the business, but to be caught up in the opportunity to realize that as you are building a business, LLC framework, multi-channel, asset-driven, inventory-based model, that you are building an asset that is worth more in the end than at any time during the business building phase. While you can make money during that growth, I want you to really understand the opportunity that's in the end. And we're going to go through 8 business areas too that are going to subject themselves under each of these topics as we roll through each of them and how they connect together in today's world, how we're connecting them, and how you can connect them together. So, real quick before we get going, Seth introduced me just a little bit. I won't stay long on this slide. I have been doing this for a long time. I fired the man in 2007. I've built a series of offline and online businesses since I left my IBM career behind. Love that. Got to be around a table of amazing people during that time. Actually got to work on the Watson Superblue computer and RMonk. We got to build the latent semantic search engines, human machine language learning, and the systems and precursor fundamentals that built these engines. And Amazon used the A9 engine as a part of that. Got to see that work from the inside out and now understand how those large language models and everything work because I've been on it since the ground and since it went up. But I'm also an author. I'm a family man. I'm a husband. I'm not just a guy who does business. It's not always my purpose. That's my purpose. Just so you're clear, those are my purposes. That's my why. So I want to share that with you guys today because it's very important you understand what your why is. This is my why. Faith, family, friends, finances, and freedom. What I call the 5 F's. Okay. The 5 F's lead to so much more fulfillment in your life than just money. Money and profit, which we're going to talk about today more than anything, aren't just the profit of business, it's the profit of relationships. I have a profit in relationship with Seth today. And through our time together, knowing each other over the years, I felt I've profited from that relationship. I hope he has as well. Those of you being here today, we get to profit from this relationship being in this room today. And really, what we need to understand here is that the profit isn't just the finances, it's the relationships you develop along the way that go through those 5 F's. It's important we get down to understanding what that is about. And if unless you've faced really difficult challenges like I have in the 20 years, I even crashed a business and went bankrupt once. I don't even know if you know that, Seth. But I went bankrupt once and had to start this all over. And thanks to God and e-commerce, I was able to pull it all off, bring it all back together, and turn this into an amazing business that my kids are now actually involved in. And a lot of the people in our community have their kids involved too. So enough about me. Let's get back to you guys. The what the heck do I sell? This is a big question, guys. And some of you are like, well, I already know what to sell, Neil. I'm a seller. I'm selling product. Okay. But let's understand that the change in sellable product, the change in momentum, the change in opportunity has shifted greatly, even in the last 6 months. And it isn't just about AI, so we're clear. There is something that's been shifting in the background of all of these models, these engines, this online intent, and it is customer need driven. It used to be customer intent to a certain point based on keywords. But if you're still working on just the keywords without the customer need, you're actually missing a huge opportunity to unlock not even more traffic, but the intent behind the search and to build hyper relevant products into not only Amazon's AI, but the other AIs out there in the world that will start to pick you up, what we call agentic commerce protocols, right? And the agentic engine protocols that were performed behind SEO previously, but actually move those forward. And so I want you to understand today that the engines behind that customer need intent are actually powering the products. The products are not powering them. And the customers aren't even powering that too. This is the thing I want you to really understand. The AI systems are powering the need and demand, right? The products are just the mechanism by which that actually allows the outcome to occur. And we have to really understand what that outcome should actually be, that customer need and intent. And once you unlock that, some amazing, amazing things have been able to occur. But we need to find that demand. The most critical thing we want to address is not just a paid problem, okay, where buyers spend money and we spend a lot on Amazon ads and other ad platforms across the world, but it's the intent behind that problem that we are trying to look for. That is to prove what they're actually wanting to get, to actually dial in where is that demand? Where is that what I call Amazon's slipstream? It isn't just Amazon's slipstream anymore. It is TikTok Shop, it's Walmart, it's Target Plus, it's online, it's social commerce. It's a slipstream of people looking for all kinds of products 24/7, 365. And then to find out exactly why there would be a reason for them to switch their buyer intent to our product versus another product. Now, this is a big thing. This has to do with the what we call the offer gap. That is, what am I actually offering that isn't just better? It doesn't have to be cheaper. It has to meet that specific need and that intent right where that customer actually is in 30 seconds or less, according to Amazon's rules. So that intent is that it actually drives that sell as quickly as possible. And we only want to fund what demand and profit agree to do. We don't want to fund based on guesses. We don't want to fund based on what's nice. We don't want to fund based on our own gut feeling. Okay. Because we need to understand that not every product deserves inventory, and we don't want to put money into every product, okay, that doesn't fulfill a specific need or give us an 80% confidence before we launch the product that it should ever go to market in the first place. Not a guess, not a hunch, not a maybe what if, not a Shark Tank, hopium, dream, lottery, scratching mindset, guru, hopium mentality. I'm friends with Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank. He wrote the forward to my book, and I didn't have to go on Shark Tank to learn these rules, but I watched from inside out how people overshot their hopes and dreams without using practicality. That is real need. That is understanding that there's a proven need for people to have that problem solve something in their life. That the prices of our products are 50 to 150 or greater. Okay, this is an important set of metrics I want you to burn into your brain. The net, okay, the net of the room means we at least get $12 net profit or greater. I prefer 24 or higher per product per SKU, right? I want you to put this in the chat. Put 12 in there right now. I want you to burn that into your brain. And then I want somebody to tell me, are you at 12 or greater in your net profit? I'm just curious who is. Cost controls. Guys, you have to have your cost controls at 35% of cost or less in your landed cost of goods. With tariffs, the pandemic stuff, a whole lot of things that have gone over the years we've been selling, and all these economic changes way back into 2008, excuse me, in 2010. To overcome those challenges, to stay in business, to keep pushing forward, we have to keep our metrics strong. We have to be lean in one area, very profitable overall, and we have to set those metrics very hard. And if it doesn't meet that cost control, it doesn't make the board. So the 5x5 path we developed over the years we've been growing and scaling is not to just find the one hero SKU. It's to locate the hero plus its backup plus a tertiary backup that create hero opportunities to expand horizontally. Okay, once we find that initial product, 20, 50, 100 SKUs deep into those hero products so that we don't have a single product failure on each platform. We built a system called Greenlight, a process and methodology that helps us decide whether or not we even launch that product. All the data comes to the decision phase. We do not guarantee the results of the product. We will test market that product. And then we find out whether or not it greenlights in the numbers before we even give it an opportunity to be funded in inventory. So when we do research, that becomes a part of our job. I think a lot of people skim over research. They want to get to the sales really fast, and they don't sharpen their axe long enough before they put products in the market. And then they go get 2,000 units or 4,000 units of a product and launch it, putting all their hopes and dreams into that, wondering why 6, 7, 8 months later, it's all sort of falling apart and they can't figure out what to do. And then they backfill themselves into ideas and tricks and growth hacks and all this other stuff to try to fix it. And that isn't actually going to solve that problem. We need to start at the right foundation first, which means we need the right market data, the right keyword to customer intent relationship. We need to prove that demand so that we can actually audit our listing content correctly, find the conversion gaps and language gaps that actually meet that customer need and intent, and remove all that other fluff that people put into their listings. I see this happen all the time, Seth. People will put way too much information, hoping they're trying to capture a much larger audience, and they're not actually really focused down on who it is the most intentional person for that need of that particular product and outcome, and dialing in that information first. Okay. That means everything downstream, like the creative, the visible offer, the A plus content, the listings, the marketing, the social media, the paid traffic, all becomes much easier. It just does. It becomes easier and easier. And after doing thousands of launches, and I know you know this, Seth, it is much easier to start seeing the pattern of intentional outcome from products when the data matches the market intent, because then any platform, utility, tools, and things you connect become very focused and intentional, and you understand the data that is actually there that's working for you. and then one operating area supports each step along the way. Okay. And it moves much easier downstream. If it looks difficult, you just don't keep going. So, how do we decide whether the idea is even worth it? We have three checks that we go through, and each of these checks determine with an 80% confidence whether or not we should launch this product at all, whether or not we should go after it. And it is based on the data. It's not based on gut feel, okay? It is a filter by which we get to a final check of determining which of those products we should launch. And in that product final check conclusion, we have what we call a cost calculator, okay? And that capital cost calculator then determines how much capital goes into that product, roughly how long we would expect it to break even based on what the data is currently showing us in Amazon's slipstream. And then when we get to a place where I call house money. House money is when you're playing with the house's money. You've ever heard of that, right? House money is where you want to get in and they're giving you money and things are going great and you keep getting more of it. Well, in the instance of a product, it is where money continues to flow in. The product is recycling its inventory and maybe churning over 3 to 4 times a year, hopefully. You're only investing in the capital growth of the level of inventory you need to go to the next level, but the product itself has now become a self-fulfilling asset inside of your business. And when we get to that place, it's much easier to take the demand, the price point, the right math, and the right experience and execution, and continue moving those through more and more launchable ideas that actually become easier and easier. Ashley didn't understand that concept at all when she joined the membership. She didn't understand at all. She had a real product. She had already launched that product. She thought she had a clear path to business. She couldn't break past 10,000 a month. She literally got stuck and could not figure out how to move the needle on her product. And it's a great product. And she did a lot of diligence. And it came out of a practice that she runs with her husband. She's actually a gubernatorial candidate for Massachusetts. I wish she would have won recently after all the stuff I've seen out there. But she is going to run again later, and I hope she actually wins. But she is a go-getter. She's got 3 kids. She's knocking this out of the park. When she found us off a podcast, she came in a little skeptical, but she came to the work and she was ready to put the work in or quit. That was literally I'm ready to go or I'm going to quit. And I didn't have to convince her to go. She was just a go-getter. She just needed to understand what was she missing? What was the strategy? What am I not unlocking? So we actually went back through the playbook, reanalyzed the way her products should be set up, moved her from 30 to 40 a day to 100, 120 plus. She's now up to, 10,000 units. She's on pace to do more than 1 million this year with 20+% net profit and growing. We are now moving her into additional channels like TikTok and Walmart to help her expand and grow. Same situation here with Jeff and Jennifer, only they didn't have the experience that Ashley had. They didn't have the negative experience. They didn't have a positive experience either. And I took them on as a member, which I don't always do. Because I felt their tenacity, I felt their willingness to get in, I felt their drive. And as I got through a number of hurdles and challenges, we stepped in to support them even more. We lifted them up in the process and helped enable them even greater through support of our system, and then gave them the opportunity to build a runway. Right now, they are absolutely crushing it, right? Their growth and scales are continuing to go up and up. This has happened in 12 months after they started. So it's an amazing opportunity to see how fast this brand is growing, and now it should be moving and will be moving into other channels. And the full Cayman AI operating system is being installed into their business now that they've reached this place because the data is so good, the operations will be so easily managed. They're going to expand all these additional channels, and all that data they have now is going to feed that engine that gives them the ability to understand where to go. Now, how did they get there correctly? How did we change their thinking? How did we move their minds away from the current structure of their products? And in both cases, elevate their products out of what we call a tier 1 on Amazon or tier 1 on the internet and move them into a tier 2, tier 3 selling position. Every platform profitably selling on Amazon and other places has 3 tiers in it. We call the tier 1 the mosh pit, the cheap Chinese sellers mosh pit, right? And that is where people are banging into each other. It's sweaty. The big bikers are in there and they're all banging around and everybody's fighting over what's left on the ground. Then there's tier 2, which is more of the middle ground. It's like I could find it in some locations. I might find it in retail, but I might be convinced to buy it here if I can see the value of it. And if I see the value of it, it's typically going to be because I am looking at the higher end of that product price point, maybe the 50, most likely 150 retail price point, because I'm looking for a quality product, not just a quantity product. I'm not just a value shopper. And then tier 3 is going to be your people who are brand driven. They are affinity driven. They are really looking for those products 150 to 500 in retail price point. They've got the cash, the intent, etc. We just need to know the numbers to ensure that by a scientific measuring, we understand that the product proves that we should put cash in it. because there's a market that is settling in that place. And that means that we need to know how to deploy that capital correctly and where to deploy it to hit that tier two, tier three, not to tier one. I'll keep going back to this over and over again. So why does that step actually matter? Why do the numbers matter? Because neither of those folks could tell me exactly what their numbers should be. They didn't understand it because they weren't ingrained in it yet. They hadn't been taught correctly what to look at the business fundamentals, and not even Ashley, who had been running it and was a successful woman in the business world, didn't understand her own numbers. So as we went through, what we discovered, and this happens a lot, people were buying, running their company on gut feel. They may be using a lot of other technology tool sets, etc., but at the end, they couldn't trust the data. They didn't trust their own experience, and so they were literally flying blind, okay? They were making expensive mistakes. They were costing themselves a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of attention. And what they found was, and what you could find is one product can wipe out your cash. You over leverage a product you're not confident in, and you don't give it the right time to prove itself. That can be a very costly long-term mistake. And if you buy into a product that continues to do that for a while, you may be dragging that thing on for months. I've seen people do it for years. Okay. We need strong sellers to prove profit before they buy. These are the fundamentals. Okay. We need the customer demand, and we need to know that there's a win or loss, all right, which is a disciplined action that occurs from repetitive engagement, repetitive processes. So when you know your numbers, okay, your numbers might be a little different than mine. I explained some of them, but I'm going to explain why I want you to really look at my numbers and consider where you are to understand that selling profitably is number one. I'm going to show you some revenue things that are going to blow your mind. But at the end, the most important thing about where that is important is the net profit. I have people who've come to me with $3 million, $4 million a year businesses making 100K before taxes because they're not that profitable. And that is not sexy to me. Okay. Profit of 20 to 35% net profit bottom line. Now we're talking sexy. 18% with a path to 20% or more, 15% with a path to 20% or more. Now we're talking sexy. Okay. That means I keep more. All right. That means that I can now market with confidence. I can attack the market with confidence. I know how to reach my right customer intent audience, right, and capture them correctly. And oh, by the way, you can pay yourself, make some money while you're growing, and you can hire help and hire the right help because you know the right things they should be doing. We'll keep talking about that too. And negotiate from a place of strength. I don't know how many of you feel like I don't have strength, I don't have confidence, I don't have a knowledge base where I feel confident in operating my business. Sometimes I just feel like I'm flying by, don't really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to gain more information, but I'm still just getting more confused in the process. And people will smell that. They will smell it in the negotiations. They'll smell it in the way you do your marketing. They'll smell it in the warehousing and manufacturing process when they think they can take advantage of you. And you're like, well, I don't really know if I should do this or not. We need to negotiate from a place of strength. And then we want to build a company with real value. Okay. Real value goes beyond a single sales channel. And by the way, it goes beyond your inventory. Okay. So we want to stop trying to make every idea work. We don't want to force products to continue to push through our marketing, or we just need to get them on another channel, or I just need to go do my social media. Scarcity forces weak products. All right. Strong operators go by the numbers. Okay. And they continue to move a product out of maybe their scarcity thinking. Maybe they don't even realize they're thinking it this way. Maybe you guys don't even realize you're thinking this way. But you may be thinking, well, I've tried a couple of other products and they didn't work. And this probably was my only good idea. So I'm going to hang on to this. I'm going to clutch on to this, right? You force the math to work. You can, continue to deal with weak demand and thin margins. You continue to hump along like Ashley was doing. And you continue to put more inventory at a cash risk place. Okay. Because I just keep it going inventory. I just keep giving it inventory. I keep finding ways, to get more inventory. And I'm running the business, right? But really, you're just on a treadmill. And that's not cool. And it's not fun. And it's very stressful. We want to think where the numbers earn the next move. We want to know that the numbers will earn them. We want to build an opportunity list, a big opportunity list of ideas that are continually moving continuously through that research process, identification, research, demand, customer intent. We want to back only ideas that will improve as we dig farther. They're either going to look better or they're going to look worse. And stop funding weak ideas with inventory that can go to better ideas that will make you more money. So, our product list is our profit list. And I don't think a number of you on here, maybe not, because I've done this once before. And if I ask you this question, how many products do you have in your pipeline? How many products do you have are on your idea list? How many have a product list that is a profit list? And I'd be curious how many of you could say yes to that. You may have ideas, but have you written them
Ooh,
down, vetted them, and actually put them through a process yet?
Neil, inevitably, I'll have a conversation with the seller,
Yep.
and they'll be like, "I'm stuck. I haven't grown in years." And it's like, "Okay, so let's look at your products." And they haven't launched any products for years. They don't
Where's your
have a
profit list,
pipeline.
man? Where's your profit
They don't
list?
have anything. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting, guys. Put in the chat box if you've launched anything recently. Have you launched a new product in the last year? I mean, that's it's of course it makes so much sense that you're not growing if you're not
About in
actually
the last three
launching anything.
months.
Yeah, yeah. Last week, yeah,
Yeah.
we when in our heyday, Neil, I was launching a product a week. Now that sounds insane to some people, but
Yeah, we were
that's
too.
growth.
Yep, that was serious growth. We're
Yeah,
down to a product every quarter of our business. So we've launched this year in August 13th as we're having this conversation. And maybe I shouldn't say that because you wanted this evergreen, but I have launched six new businesses in the last 8 months, right? And out of those businesses, there are about three products in each of them. So you do the math on that. So
yeah.
continue a growth opportunity. I'm going to talk about that market consolidation a little bit more as we go along because what you need to understand, the market has consolidated. The number of sellers has gone down. The opportunity cost has been greater, but the opportunity has never been greater because of that market consolidation. And I don't know if you know this or not, Seth, but there were 50 $100 million companies pre 2020. And in the last 6 years, that's moved to 250 plus,
Yeah.
originated on Amazon, just to be very clear.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
So,
crazy. So it's created consolidation, which has also created opportunity. And I want to keep expanding on that because
Neil, the
it's gonna.
people that responded in the chat box was Travis, Joseph, Michaela, Richard, and Hyatt. So these must be the people that are actually launching products. The rest of them are crickets. So
Mm.
we need to get to launching. Keep going,
There
Neil.
needs to be a
This
lot
is
more
great.
people that are doing that.
Yitchcock says yes, many. Okay, great.
Okay, good. Well, that's great. So we want to put those in place, but we want to know we got our numbers correctly. All right. So if you have those products in process, you have them in pipeline, we want to make sure that we say that, like I said earlier, every dollar tells the truth. We look at the rock, we look at the ugly things, we ensure that we know that there's true net profit in those products after we take into accountability all of the costs of operating a business. Okay, that's the revenue, the returns, the storage, the fees, the freight, the gross sales, the ancillary costs, the PPC costs, and the soft costs that are built into this, including subscriptions and your time, so that you actually have a true net profit variable after every cost. Okay, how much cash did I actually keep in this product? That's your question. How much do I actually keep out of that product? And as each product goes out and each product has an opportunity to move horizontally in the market, once you find those products, you're going to go and the ones that take off. How much am I keeping out of each of those products, right? We want to walk through the P&L, the product cost, and everything. We want to understand exactly what this is going to do for us. If we don't have that question or we have a gauge, we don't have an 80% confidence, we need to get that confidence first. We need to understand profit does not guarantee cash. I know it sounds weird, but a profitable business can still run out of cash. I've saw this happen in the last 6 years. Why? Changes, market economic changes, bad cash flow management, bad inventory management, not staying ahead of the market understanding meant that through shipping, paying, selling, inventory turns, etc., getting down to those reorder situations like David had ran into, get us to a position where the timing, the speed, and the opportunity to ride that wave is an opportunity that can be missed without the right level of experience, which means if you've never done it before, you're not going to know how to catch that wave. When I was taking my kids out to the beach a long time ago, and you may have done this, and getting them on the boogie board, what was dad doing? Well, he's standing in the water enjoying his beach time by basically shoving four kids down the boogie board to ensure they caught a wave every time they took off. Because I could see from my position where the wave was. They couldn't see it down in the weeds where they were. I could see it where I was standing. And so I got them to catch really cool waves. And they loved it. And we'd do it over and over and over again. Four kids times 29,000 times, you get the deal. I'd be sitting there burned to death while my kids were having a great time in the boogie boards. But the end result is if you're not able to see that in the weeds where you're standing, you're not going to be able to understand where those waves are. And when you catch those waves, you have to be ready to order, cash, capitalize on that wave, or you may lose a significant opportunity and it may have passed you by already. And if it has, then what you're going to find is that the growth metric to get back to that position or overtake those people who are already in the market is now historically in your data, and that is going to be very difficult to pull up. So, what we want to do when we ride this wave is sometimes you might need to ask for help. So Anish and Cherry came in. They had a slow first year getting everything going as a dentist in his practice. He was already working quite a bit. Cherry was at home with the kids, and so she helped out a lot more. But together, they were able to get that first year off their belt and actually get moving and really sustain moving. And in the last 8 months, their business has now hit multiple $100,000 a month income because they persevered, They understood, they're catching the wave, they're deploying capital correctly, they're now seeing peak growth in their business. And they came to us literally a few days ago and threw their hands in the air and said, "We need more help. We need to understand better capitalization, inventory turn. We need to make sure we get this right. We really want to know how we can grow a lot faster." And this is the right question because between 10 to 100,000 a month is the hardest push you have to get ever in an entrepreneurial journey. It is the hardest push. It gets so much easier after 100,000 a month on these systems because now you're entering the slipstream of traffic. Now you're entering the top sections of your seller category and your node. You are now entering the stream of traffic that could create a hyper growth situation, which could be very detrimental to your business if you're not prepared for the way to manage it, the capital churn to manage it, and the ability to even capitalize that. And the 100K to a $1 million a month, okay, growth is the ability for you to sustain not only capitalization of growth when that wave hits, but the mental stamina and fortitude to be the CEO who makes those risky decisions. That's where it falls on you. The systems, okay, will start into that place. The operators will start into that place. And you can put in AI operators or even get a human operator to help you with your AI systems. But after that lift comes the biggest jump between 100 and 1 million is your ability to systematize the business correctly and capitalize it correctly. After a million, you have new challenges. We'll go into that in a minute as you get past a million a month. So we want to judge ads by total profit as well. This is something I see a lot of people miss. You may have heard this. Hopefully you did. I want to speak to the choir on this one. If this is new to you, then you got to learn this today, but I hope it's not new to the sellers that are on here. A costs is not something you should focus on. I hear this all the time. A cost, A cost, A cost, right? I don't focus on A cost. If I am acquiring a customer away from another competitor in the market, I'm winning. If I have to do that at 30%, 80%, 120% A cost, I actually don't care because I'm acquiring the customer. The algorithm likes that. The market likes that. The customer should hopefully like that with the great product we've given them. And that all signals to the engine what we're willing to do. Now, I won't want to pay a cost for that long of a period of time unless I'm seeing my total advertising cost actually grow along with it. That is my organic plus paid traffic actually heading up the line. And by the way, we shoot for a minimum of 60% of our traffic to be organic and only 40% of it to be paid. I know that sounds weird, but when you launch that product correctly, when you're in that slipstream, when you meet that customer need inside of these systems correctly from day one, you will actually have the opportunity to really easily manage your Amazon ads and growth because you have a whole slipstream of organic traffic working in your favor from the very beginning, and then your ad cost actually kicks in and expands that, extrapolates, it becomes a force multiplier. If you don't do that correctly, and this is where a lot of people miss this, here's a peak thing for you guys who are right now. If you launch a product and start ads from day one, I'm sorry, you already shot yourself in the foot. How did you do that? Because you told the algorithm from day one, I'm willing to pay for that traffic. Hear me when I say this. It changed a while ago, and I don't think anybody knows this, but if you're not operating maybe at this level, you're not going to understand that. Amazon will penalize you. They will force you to pay for more traffic, and you will continue to pay for that traffic from then on. So if you don't prove to the engine you have the organic gumption to move that product forward in your market test first before you launch your ads, I know this sounds counterintuitive. Seth, people in their heads are going like, what the heck is he talking about, man? That doesn't make any sense. Then you will get an opportunity to put gas on fire and 10x those sales of your product when the algorithm of the system, okay, this large language model, the A10, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter now. They used to call it Cosmo, now it's Alexa, now it's whatever. It really gets down to understanding the organic engine and slipstream of your customer need to your product in the right node creates a hyper relevant traffic source that you can kill with Amazon ads if you don't do it at the right time.
Neil, so what you're saying is that when you launch a brand new product, if
Yes.
you start with ads,
Nope.
you are damaging your future profitability. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you are. You are in an algorithmic situation by which it is looking for intent. It is looking to fit your product into a customer intent. It's going to sample your product through a number of visitors, okay, and we call them impressions. And through that number of impressions, okay, as you start to see that go, you should. It doesn't mean you always get sales right out of the gate, but if you're seeing that impression grow, it means that it's sending it to so much of the audience and finding out whether or not that audience likes your product. As you get conversions, it'll send it to more audience. And as it finds out that who that audience is, because you have a new ASIN, new data set, it doesn't really know everything about you yet, but it knows everything about your market. That's what's changed. It knows everything about the customer intent. So people are forcing Amazon to try to go sell their product through ads. Amazon already knows that, which is one of their biggest multipliers of their second quarter results that just came out, as they have $27.5 billion, which is growing like 19% because of you guys paying too much for ads. Then the end result is you are going to be penalized. This happens on Facebook now too. It happens on other systems, right? They're all following a similar pattern of behavior. If you don't get the organic traffic, you pay for it. Once you pay for it, you don't get out of it. You might as well burn that ASIN and start all the way over organically and watch what happens. We've done that
All
a
right.
number of times. We've relaunched products by completely relaunching the product under a new ASIN, under the new algorithmic system, which is not attached to the current ASIN. If your ASIN is less than 6 months old, you're in the new algorithm. If it's older than 6 months, you're in the old algorithm.
Well, Neil, this is crazy.
Yep.
Like, I don't think most people know this. Norbert says, "So true, Neil. This killed my business."
Oh,
And
dude.
so
Sorry to hear
Hyatt
that.
and Jay both say, like, "Okay, Neil, you've got me convinced, but like, how am I going to get traffic if I don't have any ads?"
Yeah, well, it's organic, guys. The system of customer need and intent based on the right node with hyper relevancy of your data set focused down on the customer need is where the traffic actually lives. Okay. So I'm going to keep going with that. And I'm going to extrapolate that
Okay,
on a little bit
okay,
more. I'll get into it, but
keep going because
I,
you got
I have so much
everybody's
information,
glued
guys. Just
now.
stay with me.
Okay,
All
Richard
right.
says you're sharing gems. Michaela says this only applies to products that launched within the last 6 months. That's what you
Yes.
just.
It's a very quiet algorithmic shift that occurred about 6 months ago. And if you hadn't launched enough products in the last year, you wouldn't even know that because they're not going to announce it. They're not telling you. And one of the shifts that occurred after they changed the algorithm was the move from the Cosmos system testing thing, Rufus, into Alexa, where they now moved everything into Alexa. Maybe you heard that announcement. And that's the outward visual change of the inward changes they made to the system that most people didn't even weren't even aware of how much that actually changed. Okay. And I got a tip here. I even got a skill for you guys that you can walk through here soon that will help you with that for those of you who are currently selling. Okay. So contribution, sales minus fees, ads, return, storage, and true costs. That's your contribution. Okay. You need to really understand this. I did a whole podcast on this not long ago. I don't have the episode in my head, sorry, but my High Voltage Business Builders podcast, I put out one every day, an operator insight, and there's a podcast not long ago. I got like 357 podcasts, right? That I put out just recently went over contribution, and you should really understand what your contribution margin is for your product and unit economics. Extremely important. I won't go through all of that today. Forgive me, there's just so much information here. But the sales minus fees, ads, return, storage, and true cost equal your contribution. That becomes part of your unit economics, right? Understanding each unit economic impacts the business as it rolls into your portfolio, which rolls up into your brand, which brand rolls up into your seller account. Okay, it's very hyper relevant that all of those things are tied together. If you have multiple brands, that's okay as long as they're segmented, but your seller account down to the actual product becomes part of your hyper relevancy. All right. So if we have bills due, cash left, and how long it will last, we really need to understand where our cash is, where it's going, how we're deploying it, how long is it out, how much are we putting those soldiers to work, and when they're coming back. We really need to understand where that cash is so that we can be careful with it, but we can also leverage it for more capital contribution to growth of inventory and business. Growth being the biggest factor here. Velocity of units and orders and sales means that we are able to see the velocity growing to such a point of every product launch that in 30, 60, 90 days or more, I can start to see what the possible inventory churn would be on the amount of units we tested before we take it to a full product launch. And at the product launch, the goal is to move that provable metric, okay, doing the market test, out to a extrapolated 12-month run rate, an annualized run rate that tells me, could I churn this product over an estimated 1,000 units. Okay. Once I can prove it, I do the 1,000 units 4 times a year, 3 to 4 times a year. Can I turn that inventory 3 to 4 times a year? If I can do that, I am now entering a metric system inside of Amazon, and these other algorithms do this too. Walmart, Target Plus, we'll get into that. Those systems now look and say, well, you're moving more inventory or as much inventory as the top competitors. Thus, you must be in demand and you can meet the demand of this customer need. Thus, we're going to increase your ranking. Okay. If you have 1,000 units and I have 10,000 units and we're fighting for the same top three positions, the algorithm simply isn't going to let you overtake me because it doesn't want you to stock out. Because when you stock out, you remove that product from Amazon's system and they want that product available to their customers because that's their win, not yours. Your win is to ensure you're doing both things, growing it, turning velocity, and increasing demand. As your tacos and organic sales and profit move from ads to the next dollars, you're now addressing your customer acquisition costs, your demand cost, as well as your total lifetime value of that customer, helping you to understand why A cost is not as important in your business as tacos is, right? Total advertising cost of sales. If I know that I'm acquiring customers at 83%, but that customer comes back to me at least one more time in the year or buys another product from me, I'm not going to stop those ads. And I bet some of you have turned them off, right? That makes the decision to fund, pause, reorder, or kill any of these metrics becomes part of that CEO scorecard. If it cannot explain the situation or the decisions by which you're making, you're still guessing. Okay? So, when you do this correctly, you might even make a slight mistake. One of our clients did this recently. He came to us, David. I'll explain his story in a second, but he came to us. He's doing about 13 million a year now, hit his first million a month not long ago. And one of the shipping things he had done, which is not something we advised him to do about a year ago, but he was doing it anyways, came back and said, "Hey, I'm having problem moving this. My inventory value is going up. I'm ordering so much product." And then he starts telling us about his shipping cost, and it didn't sound right. And my partner and I were on the call and we're listening. We're like, "Hey, what? That doesn't add up right. Let's go back through these numbers." Well, it turns out his shipping configuration with his supplier, his shipping supplier, was wrong. Not only was it wrong, it was the wrong to the cost of about $40,000 per container. That's huge because he's moving about 4 to 5 containers a quarter. So that one shift is going to save him about $40,000 per container, right? So his cash, his gross, his extra cash for growth, he's going to be on the deck for that now. His contribution margin is going to change, and that is going to hit the bottom line, which is going to help his exit value. Just a small shift in a large business with a small configuration problem can do this. And you might be thinking, well, why did he not catch that? He's doing 13 million a year. How come he doesn't know that? Well, you guys would be surprised what I find in large businesses. Little things you can't see when you're in the ground level. That's where the CEO, board of advisors aspect, being in the right room, comes into play. So test earned the next order. Kelly, I mentioned a minute ago, was talking about the value of generational wealth, growing, excited. He's moving very quickly. He has made the decision to order even more product on a successful test. It has grown. Its net profit is 22%. He now has the opportunity to confidently buy more inventory because this market test proved that this product could become extremely well, but it's the 7 to 10 other products sitting right behind it that he's the most excited about, right? Because that is going to expand his portfolio out. It's going to increase his market share. It's going to give him more traffic, and it's going to boost his organic rankings. You know why that is? Because most Amazon sellers have less than 5 FBA standard SKUs in their portfolio. And with that, they actually get penalized by the algorithm. Bet you didn't know that either, right? So that's why my 5 by 5 methodology is to ensure that you put 5 products in the market that make at least 5 sales a day on average with a $12 in net profit. I'm going to break this all down a little farther, guys. I'm going to tell you and break it down. I got a slide in here for this. So that you have a minimum $300 in net profit per day, because from that point, you can now see how to go from 300 to 3,000 to 30,000 as just a jump in the metrics of continuing to do what you know you should be doing correctly because the data tells you to do it correctly. And one of the ways we do that in the data is a thing we call need scanner. This is 187,000 customer needs we mapped out about a year and a half ago when we discovered the way Amazon understands customer needs and changes. Now, part of that is my historical understanding of these systems and my background at IBM and technology geeking out. Ended up in a situation where I had questions. I actually got my 14-year-old daughter involved at that point, Bailey, and she loves numbers. So I gave her this huge spreadsheet and I said, "Hey, Bailey, go check all these numbers out. Come back to me and tell me what you see." And she said, "Well, I can't answer these questions." I'm like, "That's very cool." And by the way, all my kids are homeschooled, so they're super achievers, which is awesome. And I'm public schooled, so take this for a grain of salt. But the end result is she found some questions I hadn't asked, and the end result of that became, "Hey, let's go find out if we can get it." And we discovered basically the 187,000 needs that power all of Amazon's business. Those 187,000 needs are all we focus on. And under those needs ranking, we now score each of these products by what their customer need and intent is, where their node is actually mapped, and then which particular product actually gives us the confidence in that data. So we built a system against that called Node Hunter that now tells me if that customer need is this in demand, which node is actually gaining the most traffic? Where do I actually set this inside of this engine? Where do I actually put it correctly to get that hyper relevancy? If the score is high, if it has a huge amount of traffic, and I don't see the large amount of traffic being taken up by more than 2 to 4 of the competitors, because by the way, on Amazon, you have 5 major competitors. That's it. You think you have hundreds of competitors? You have 5. You have 5 major competitors for every node that you're in, and every product has a node. And in there, you need to understand who has the majority of the traffic and how much other traffic is available for me to grab so that I can find myself in one of those top 3 to 5 positions. And how quickly can I get into those top 3 to 5 positions? And in identifying that is where the node lives of relevancy for my product, so that when I actually discover the product, then I determine which product actually meets the actual demand. And by the way, it is not always the BSR of 1 through 100, not even 1 through 1,000. You'd be surprised to find that most of our products are between 10 and 100,000 BSR in our targeting range. Why? Because they have the most net profit. Because net profit is by the basis by which we determine every product at the end is qualified based on its place in the system. So we've determined a system, a 3-step process to determine which one has the highest ROI, highest net profit, highest in-demand customer need, highest relevancy to the slipstream of existing traffic, and then ensure that that demand occurs. Now, the demand ROI is 225% on this product. Why? Because if I turn this over in a goal of 4 inventory turns per year, you do the math, right? All of a sudden, that product is able to turn over ROI every 30 days, right? Excuse me, 90 days. So as I determine those products go to market, here's the one big mistake a lot of people make. You don't marry your products, okay? You don't fall in love with them. You don't put all your hopes and dreams into them. You don't get your Lambo dreams all up in a bunch yet, because the product hasn't proven itself. You need to get out the product. You need to look at the opportunity. You need to test the market, determine that the data goes well, and then launch that product into a larger data set, 100, 1,000 units or more, and ensure that it goes to market correctly. When we do that, people will say, "Oh, but Neil, if I launch a product and I stock out, that's the end of the world." Well, no, not when you have 100 to 500 units. It's not. Why? Because you can just burn that ASIN and start over again. Oh, why? What did you just say? You can do what? You can just ditch that ASIN and start over again. So once you have the algorithmic data, you have 80% of the knowledge, you have the rest of that data that's pulled back from that product market test. I now have 100% confidence that when I launch that into a full product launch, I'm in market demand, I have the need, the keywords, I have it sales, I had a provable market experience, I have an extrapolation of how far that's going to go, and now I can actually launch that product successfully, confidently, and move it into the market. So then that lets me decide what gets the money. I let the sales of that product decide where to go, what to fund, how to grow it, and how to move it forward. Instead of, I love this idea, it's to, well, I'm going to test it. I'm going to see honestly where the numbers are. I'm going to fund only the winner. I'm going to expand the proof when the time comes. And I'm going to go after what deserves my time, energy, attention, and money. I'm not going to guess, which means I'm going to turn through more product opportunities than you do, which goes back to the old thing about Jordan. Remember, you're about my age, Seth. That's when, Jordan was like, how is he successful? People were like, well, how does this guy make it? He just makes every shot. He's like, no, I just took a lot more shots than you. Took a lot more shots than you. So prove one pattern before the full launch, right? Solve one customer problem well before chasing another market. This is what people tend to do. They get a little bit outward in their thinking. They think a little too far out in terms of their growth. They think a little too far in terms of, well, I need social media, I need TikTok Shop, I need all these other things. They need to prove one pattern full until launch. Familiarity of knowing what the buyer needs, the differentiator, the winning, the better price margins, the even higher price margins. We launch it quite a lot, and moving a fast, small test proves and creates that 5x5 path. So I mentioned David earlier. He actually did this. He's the one that's saving 40,000 a container. He had a $30,000 a month business. It was totally falling apart. When he got to it, he's literally, I can't keep running this at 30,000 a month. I'm going to lose. I'm losing money. This cannot continue. So the coaching came forward for him and basically said, we're resetting your mind. We're resetting your next 90 days. We're going to reset the way you think about your product, your business. We're going to go through the top end and bottom end of your business, which we did to ensure it's optimized. And then we helped him go through a plan that by literally 90 days after he went through this, he went from 30,000 to over 100,000 a month profitably, right? It was just setting right in front of him. He just couldn't see it because he was too close to it. He hit his best month of over 1 million in June 2026. He's now in a position to move him into a generational wealth exit next year, and he's moving it between 15 and 20% profit. And most importantly, 80% of his traffic, 80%, Seth, is organic. Okay. So that's where the fun really begins. Now, how does he get all that traffic? For those of you hanging out here, this is where Amazon may be a tree, but it's all a river, but it's also a tree. So how does that actually flow? That flows inside of that need, that intent, that node, that right product. What does David miss when he wasn't really looking at the product correctly? What did he miss that some of you might be missing? He could not, again, see the forest through the trees. He could not see how his product was properly identified to his customer intent. He did not see that he was pricing his product in such a way that made them decide whether or not they should buy it or go buy it on another platform or go buy it in a retail store because he was too close to the price point of other competitors. And so he actually raised his prices. He actually optimized his ads, which were doing okay, but he really wasn't spending enough on them to justify the data he needed to prove that he should continue to run them at that level because he was running a lot of organic traffic, as was expected. That's amazing. But without that optimization, without that restructuring of his listing and restructuring of his data, he was unable to capture that. And I think many of you sitting on here might be in that same position. You just don't realize it. You think you have the most optimized conversion, the most optimized listing, the most optimized data, and you're actually missing the ability to run that data in such a way where you take out the I wonder if this is working and you put a system, even an AI operator in place that tells you what it is you should actually be doing and how you should change those conversions. His listing conversions went up dramatically, and that was one of the most impactful things that happened to his business. It's just a giant data system, guys. You think you're selling physical products, but you're not. What you're actually selling is data to an artificial intelligence. We're data brokers. Everybody thinks we sell physical products, Seth, but that's not actually what we're doing. We're brokering data to an AI system, and that AI system is then selling products to a customer. It even helps deliver the products to the customer. So many of you think your job is to run a brand of private label products, but you're actually running a data set that is algorithmically tuned to the customer need, the intent, and what's happening. And if you understand this direction, you change your entire focus as to how you look at the product building aspect, and you start focusing on what is necessary, not to just improve the product or innovate it a little bit. It is to ensure that you're always innovating the data. You're always looking at ways to optimize the data because you're just data brokers. Amazon sells a product to the customers, not you. How many people on here have ever heard it said that way? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you have. You're not actually selling physical products. The physical products are being delivered to the customer last mile. You're selling data to an AI engine. And once you understand that concept, once you can grasp that really simple change in your thinking, so much can change very quickly for your business, right? Everything relies on whether or not your product data is more powerful, better historically, and better future predicted in your customer need and intent than the competitors that are currently setting in that data set.
Well, Neil, I just wanted to pop on here because Adam had this great comment. He says, "It's mind blowing, really. It makes sense now, and I realize that I've been guessing a lot, really.
Yeah.
Although I've have over 100 ASINs, and some, I've made more than $5 million in sales over the last 5 years. I feel like, I've been guessing all along. And now I'm like, Neil is opening my eyes and shedding the light on what I should have been thinking about or knowing, or like, why have some ASINs been limping along? So this
Hmm.
is fantastic.
Tweet from the chat.
Antoinetta
That's
says
awesome.
it is eye opening. And Adam says, now you've made it plainly obvious. So keep going, Neil. This is amazing.
Okay. Plain the obvious. You are data brokers. You're not selling physical products. Physical products is your second job. That is to ensure the product, quality, outcome, and return rate are low, right? I made a great product, not a cheap Chinese piece of crap. I put some time and innovation in the product to ensure it's differentiated, but I didn't do that until I knew the product should be married. Okay, that's hopefully that settles right. I'm going to say that again. I didn't put a whole lot of time into innovating the products until I knew the market demand existed for my product and my data was accepted by the AI engine correctly. Hopefully you got what I just said. Okay. So, two models of business are occurring right now online, and you should be in both of them. If you're going to expand to a next step, it should be Shopify. 49.7% of all online e-commerce traffic, and by the way, worldwide, that is a $7 billion industry, okay, is Amazon and Shopify. Hope you knew that. If you didn't know that, I hope you know it now. 35% are Amazon, 14% Shopify. Who's making up that last little percentage? It's actually TikTok. TikTok's coming in just recently at 100 billion in combined revenues, which moving social commerce forward, which means the halo effect of your Amazon and Shopify stores can now positively be impacted by TikTok. So you should be doing TikTok Shop, but the question is when and how. That's even more important. Not that you shouldn't be doing it, it's when and how you should be doing it. The same thing goes with Shopify to ensure that when you move that up, like David did, and his sales are moving past $1 million on Amazon, he's now pushing $5,000 a day in sales on Shopify. Very important you understand that. And now we're going to move him into Walmart and TikTok and other places. That's going to help expand his business even faster. And so, something that I want to give you guys today that you can utilize, I hope, not right now, but in the next 72 hours, go do this. This is a Amazon Alexa audit. You want more traffic? I'm going to help you get some more traffic for free, okay? You need to audit how your listings look and feel and act against the Alexa shopping system, okay? There's an audit. It's an informational audit, only takes you maybe 15, 20 minutes to complete. When you scan this, I'm also going to give you a listing audit to help you understand your titles, bullets, and backend relevant to the customer need. And you can have those skills. There are three of them that are going to be given out here shortly that you can scan. Take them down. Don't do them right now. Go to later. You guys will get access to that, and maybe we can make sure that that's in the follow up. But those of you who are watching on the replay can also scan this and go get those downloads. Those are yours. I want you to take those and use them. Put them into your favorite frontier model. Claude, my favorite right now, it has been Grok 4.5, but as of yesterday, it's 4.6 because that thing is blowing my mind. But if you're using DeepSeek or one of these other AI tools, we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue through this data and traffic because it is all AI driven, which is going to get us into kind of the next phase of understanding here. And we have a lot of frontier models we have now incorporated into what we call our arena. I'll get into some of that as a part of Cayman Data AI, which is an operating system. And to ensure that all of those listings, optimizations, and all beyond the Amazon ads are being controlled and managed in such a way where you can take advantage of even more and more traffic by getting your product built up faster. And traffic builds sales. Sales fixes everything, right? We know that. You know that. That should be something that's smart. But we need to know where it is. We don't need to guess. We need to know where it is. And let's get aligned with that to make sure we understand where it is. Why? Because the saleable business is where it's at. That's the end. And sales is not the finish line. It's really the beginning. And as Mike said a minute ago, very astutely at the beginning of this, I sold my business. Now I'm looking to do it again. That's some of the things we incorporate into everything we do. When you build, grow, and scale, you can exit. You have more capital, more knowledge, more systems, and more ability to move even faster. And you will find more markets to dip into. The question is when you should do that, right? When you should do that while staying focused at the top of your game and to cross that over to ensure that you are in growth. Okay, growth is the biggest foundational fundamental aspect I want you to get out of this. Along with this, the fifth big break is understanding what I call the platinum principle. As mentioned, that is to build with the end in mind. Clean your profit, build your systems, build more channels, and build a company that can nearly run without you. And it isn't so much more possible in the last year with AI systems and optimizations, especially for me who can sit here on this call right now with you while all of my system is being ran by about 4 operators and 30 brands. That's not something I could do in 2019. In 2019, I went out to raise capital. It's part of the reason why I formed this. I ended up raising about $100 million in capital to become an Amazon aggregator. Behind the scenes, as an operator, very quietly. You probably haven't heard my name or my company. That's just fine. I'm a king maker. I am not a king. That's not how this works. I make kings. That's what I know. That's what I do. That's how I've become positioned. And in making that go, I was intending to make a king out of a lot of people who were going to invest in that. And we did raise that 100 million, but in November 2021, I shut it down. I shut it down for a very simple reason. The numbers didn't work. My CFO, my partner Reed came to me and he said, "Hey, we got to go through these numbers because it isn't working. They're buying at 30, 40% above. Even if we run these businesses better than we possibly could ever do at the most awesome level ever, they're going to drop by 35%." He was absolutely convinced. He was so convinced that he convinced me, which was important. And so I had to go back and eat crow and turn down the money. We were going to paper the deal, and I said, "Nope, not going to do it." Well, if you've been around the market since 2019, you know what happened. I watched a lot of friends, family, people involved in all that stuff get burned, hurt, or watched the businesses crash under that whole thing. My name and business was not involved in it, but taught me a very important thing about growth and networking. And what I developed was called the platinum principle. And that is to ensure that we understand that building that business that someone wants to buy is the most critical thing I hope you understand today. That means how cash flow pays you now and how the company is built and run for the exit is extremely important. It is extremely important because it will allow you to focus on growth and risk at a different level than you're probably comfortable with or probably think you should be doing, but you actually have to be doing if you want to achieve the kind of results you want to achieve. And I know everybody on here would love to have a multi seven figure exit. Who wouldn't, right? But what does it take to get from profit to growth and scale and exit? That is ensuring that you have clean earnings and financials. You understand your business, you understand your numbers. You have a third party auditing your financial numbers. If you are the CPA of your current business, you are not supposed to be doing that. Okay? There should be a CPA involved in your business. You need to understand that repeatable products, and I think somebody mentioned this, Jason, maybe earlier, are going to be what creates growth. If you've made $5 million in 5 years, there's no reason why you couldn't have made 5 million a year in 3 years because you were already on the trajectory. The growth, the repeatable product and demand, the understanding of your profit and your cash flow would have been the risk you had to have taken in order to see that actually occur. And you may have missed a bit of a window during that period because you just didn't know when to go for it. You didn't know when to jump, right? And that's a big risk. And every level, every quadrant has more and more risk. To get to scale, like some of the numbers we've talked about today, and even a larger one that was mentioned earlier, you have to put in the people and systems and processes to allow scale to occur so that you move yourself out of the operator you're probably setting in today into the CEO operator who knows the business, knows who to hire correctly, knows how to install AI systems today to actually benefit you, not just because you're prompt engineering every day, which you shouldn't be doing, by the way, and puts you into a company situation where somebody wants to buy it. They want to take over. Your job is not to become just another founder. It's become the person who is the exit, right? The founder who became part of an exit. Your ceiling needs a different move, which means you're probably stuck at a certain ceiling right now, which usually has to do with your level of risk. It literally comes down to that. If you're at 10 to 100,000 a month, just like Ashley and David, what they were missing was the understanding of where profit and cash was leaking in their business. They didn't understand how inventory turns and stockouts of certain products were costing them a lot of money because they didn't know if they should risk it or not. And they were not doing random launches of products they thought should maybe occur, but they actually got a real pipeline of products that was based on data in their brand that helped them extrapolate exactly what products they should be launching next. And that changed the whole trajectory for them. Now they're into system building. As you've seen, both of them are between 100 and a million a month. And so now they're into systems building. That's an inventory rhythm, a tracking and better monitoring. In the Cayman AI system, we track and we monitor all inventory and control and demand, and it alerts us when we need to be aware of inventory controls and changes. And it's constantly monitoring through loop engineering each of the systems we need to be paying attention to. We used to use Seller Board, but now we've advanced Seller Board way beyond that with our own skills and automation systems. Give the team clear roles. Once I know what I'm doing at that kind of growth, I need to be able to easily translate that into another person or a system that is doing exactly what that person should be doing. That's where AI is getting the most fascinating for me today. A system, a process, an SOP built into a built into a operating rhythm, okay, and in a fact-checking system that ensures that we move through guide rails and guidelines that ensure that it's not making changes unless I approve it. And I approve it because I know what it should be doing. Super important, right? Not guessing and not blatantly trusting AI today because it will, the confirmation bias in that, the change it will make, the math calculations can be wrong. If you just ask it a dumb question and you ask it to re-ask, I had to do it the other day. It came up with complete, oh yeah, you're right. These are the right calculations. I'm like, no, they're not. So we have to be careful where to go and the right channels. Everybody's like, well, get on TikTok. Well, actually, Shopify may be your next run. You don't know that for a fact. If you don't and you can't confidently say it, you need to know which channel to add. Walmart might be the best next move for you. Are you confident? Do you know? Is there a reason why you should go get that? Or did somebody on a webinar tell you that? Right? I'm trying to get you to understand, okay, that the opportunity is not to tell you what to think, it's to teach you how to think. Big difference, guys. It's to teach you how to think. Because to build to last, on 1 million a month or more, the books are clean, the accounting is third party. You understand your cash flow, you understand your taxation. You're not paying any more to Uncle Sam than you have to. You are building leadership in your company that expands beyond you, which could be an operator who runs AI systems for you. We have operators, my four run the equivalency of a team of 10 under each of them. Because of what we built into Cayman AI, I have four operators that are having literally a team of 10 people that are working underneath them that don't exist. We didn't have to hire them. They're running inside of our system. And to make the handoff extremely easy so that when someone comes to buy that, we just literally hand them the keys to the kingdom and say, here, you can jump on your mobile phone and run this company. It's seriously, that's where we're at now. So build it so someone else can run it. Don't build it so you keep running it. Don't build it so, well, I keep my cash flow going, Neil, and why shouldn't I keep this business and keep cash flowing it? That's a great opportunity. And that may be your choice. But I'm telling you, to build the business to an exit is the fear that you won't be able to do it again. And that's the confidence you're missing. You should be able to do this over and over again. Build one of those businesses to exit, launch the next one, build that one while you're launching the next one, and then that one exits and you go past the next one. You can build a cycle of business exiting expertise where they launch and build and grow to different scales and sizes and shapes in 3, 5, 6 years and sell them. Clean numbers, written work, leading a team, very important. If you're not a leadership in a team, AI systems and an operator that you trust can be one of those places. No founder can be alone in the entire system. It's just not possible, not at this growth level. And to get steady demand of products that continue to flow through and continue to be launched to expand your brand into more and more organic traffic that is validated by ads and then can be validated by social media creation and demand through places like TikTok, etc. And a simple, easy way to hand it off. This is where we're at with David. He wants to exit next year. Everything is being set up to put him in a position to exit. We put more than 40,000 per container dollar in savings back to the bottom line. We're now moving him through additional channels quickly, which is not hard to do because we plugged him into the AI system and now he's just expanding and managing and monitoring. We put him an operator in place who knows the systems in supreme detail. And that operator is now running the AI system and is now helping him move himself out of the business so he can take a vacation next week and doesn't even have to check in because it's all being taken care of. We call that remove the owner. So once this time comes, when the business goes to sell, when I'm running network conversations right now with brokers and buyers who are interested in his business, because that's part of what I do, I'm setting him up to transfer this business for a very high multiple. And that is a opportunity to keep the company clean, to move it forward easily, and to get him out of a position that makes it super sexy for a buyer in 2027. Okay. And he is going to have a very nice exit. The business should run without David. It should run without you. But when, I mentioned this earlier, everybody wants it to be happening now. Of course they do. But once we understand where we're headed, we know when that time frame is coming. We know what we're working for. We know when we're going to start removing ourselves and start seeing that excitement and an opportunity. When the systems and processes start kicking in, when the multiple channels come in to create higher evaluations, when you install an operating system like an AI system called Cayman Data to go in and run all of that stuff, you don't have to make the decision on every task. You let it come to you as a CEO, and you are an advisor to it and telling it what to do and when not to do it, or what to report and when not to report it. And it goes back and does the work, does the optimizations, does the inventory controls, does the management, does all 8 things it should be doing. And then you inherit the checks and weekly routine to ensure that all those metrics are being done correctly. Do that right, and you could be a Daniel who built his business from 2020 to 2026. He is now in a very high level exit, deck up millions, okay? And he's running 16 plus million a year. He said the reason behind his why was similar to mine. I wanted something I could do from home with my kids. That was his whole motivation. Turns into a juggernaut business that is now exiting for generational wealth, okay? His family sat around the table with him. They helped out. They even built their own businesses now out of that process. Most of it, 3 of his kids are building businesses off of this. And he has now had a situation where he created that generational wealth from nothing. He was a golf course manager and had a degree in theology, had no experience. We trained him, we mentored him, we grew him. He came from a place of zero, which means if some of you are already sellers, which it sounds like a lot of you are, you have a lot of intrinsic knowledge, but be careful. What Daniel was willing to do that you might not be willing to do, and I'm going to call you out on this, was to learn and come under and be coached and mentored to do the things that he needed to do. And a lot of times sellers are already entrenched in their ideas and their thoughts and they want to argue with us about what should be done. I have no interest in that. Okay, just to be very clear. I'm also acquiring businesses. That's part of what Voltage can do. I'll talk about more of that in a minute, but we acquired a $7.5 million purchase on a $12 million business last year. It is now being ran, optimized. The AI operating system has been installed. We are now moving it into multiple channels. Our goal for that business, for those who are inside my membership, are going to watch us take that from $12 million to $50 million, and then we're going to exit that company. Okay. The methodology has been deployed. The owner is being removed from a lot of the business aspects. We are now owner in that company as well. And we are now going to be moving that to a very large planned exit with hopefully a $25 million check in 5 years to be paid out to all the partners and shareholders that are running that company with us. And so that is one of the things we're now doing to optimize and grow multi-channel. It is also a retail distribution. We're in 6 big box stores. So one of the things we talk about is offline and online. So we move brands to a certain position online, and then when the opportunity presents itself, we move them to stores, retail. Okay, still the other half of the equation. Remember, 49.7% is e-com online. The other half of that, 51%, is still retail. So a lot of your products could end up in retail, and that's something we help each of our members do. It's an entire ecosystem now built on an operating OS. Every channel managed, controlled, API'd, or MCP'd through our system so we can have a single operator run every one of these channels with guardrails, weekly audits, a CEO dashboard, and accountability now running in Slack channels in which we can call up exactly what's going on in that business. We can make changes, break, fix things, address issues, growth, metrics, ads, the whole 9 yards. It's such a fascinating time. So what does this allow? Planned versus unplanned exits. May have happened to some of you. Hopefully, Mike was a planned exit, dude, because that would be awesome. I hope so, because good for you. There are a lot of times when things are unplanned, right? We want to plan to sell it, transfer it, create an inheritance for our kids. We don't necessarily want to wind it down, but that's one of the reasons it happens, right? Sometimes it gets wound down. We want to not have an unplanned exit that does not have a fallback plan, a tertiary plan, someone who can help us make sure that it doesn't fall apart at death or, incapacity, divorce or personal crisis, business failure or bankruptcy. We don't want the negative things to destroy something that we have created. So we want to make sure that we have set up the process and methodology and support so that we are not just sitting on an iceberg by ourselves. If we're husbands, we don't want our wives to be stuck with this and our significant others, if vice versa. However you're structured in your home, you don't want to leave somebody with a giant problem. You want to leave them with an opportunity, something you've spent a lot of time, money, and building at this point. And I want you to think about your exit on your terms. That's really what I want you to get out of all this. I want you to exit on your terms. I don't want you to be caught aware of the consequences of an unintended, setup. And I want you to plan your exit from the beginning with the end in mind. Some of you are in the middle of the process. This is never a better time than right now to be planning on how this business goes to that exit. That way, you're starting to think like a CEO, a visionary, not just a weekly, daily, monthly operator who's wondering, well, how do I do these things in the next days, weeks, and months? You start to think like a CEO operator. Very different in the way that you envision the growth of the business. Very important. So, what is this product launch playbook and what powers that opportunity? Let's get the numbers out. 5 market tests. Talked about this a minute ago. 5 average units a day organically with a goal of 25 sales a day. We want to prove in the test phase of our market that organic slipstream, and we've done a great job with our conversions, our A plus, our listings, etc. We want to see the reward of that come back from the engine. If we don't see it, we missed it. If we missed it, we have to optimize it. And if we optimize it correctly, then we can turn on more growth. Each product net must be greater than $12 per unit, or we need a way and a path to get to that. And that's net profit. That is not gross profit. That is not gross margin, okay, or gross sales, because people all focus on that crap. We want to talk about profit. That's net profit. That's what you keep, right? And by the way, this is a case study that was mentioned a minute ago as we got going, and that was Matt when he did this right. We got him to 5 million a month in 9 months. He had a $72 million exit in 2021. That is a results not typical, but that is an amazing case study. And I'm laying the gauntlet down. We're going to try to achieve that ourselves. We got a couple clients who are very close to getting to that point. But Matt had that opportunity to be the first from our members to actually achieve something which is pretty darn incredible. And so he's a go-getter. He was somebody that just had the tenacity, the moment, the time. He was a course guy who came to us pushing 15K a month and said, I don't know how to figure this thing out. I don't want I'm missing. In about 4 months, we had him to 400,000 a month. He just missed part of the key components of what he should be doing correctly with his time, energy, attention, and money. And all of a sudden, things went like crazy. And that's actually one of the fastest verified case studies on Amazon, by the way. So 25 sales a day, 760 sales a month will give you $109,440 in profit per year. That's what I'm shooting for every member in our business. Why I set a particular goal in 12 months of working with us to shoot for that number so that your cost justification of our membership is in line with the expectations of your outcome. You will do the work. We will help guide you. Those folks I talked about here today, they did the work. They put in the time, energy, attention, and money, and we gave them the guidelines, the guardrails, and the methodologies to do it correctly. So let's focus on the net profits and not gross, because that's a huge difference. And let's continue to talk about how we keep more in our bank account, and because that is literally all that matters. So you guys have heard it said, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is king, right? 5x5 product launch playbook we just discussed. Let's break this down and what it could look like for you, either in the mid, growing, or upper stage of your business, and then a repeatable, system that is what is going to make that outcome actually occur. These are the numbers, right? 5 products, 5 units a day organically. What's going to happen when you launch those 5 test products is that 1 or 2 of them is going to take off. It's a matter of numbers. It's a law of averages. And if I launch those products and I'm going to find those products in a specific area, I'm not going to launch 5 products in totally different areas, right? Different nodes, different locations. A lot of you may have done that. I'm going to launch 5 products in one specific customer need. Very focused, hyper relevant. We talked about this before. How many of you have launched 5 products or more, but put them all across the board? You just tried products like a throwing against the wall just to see what happened. Tell me in the comments how many people have done that, right? Some of you mentioned earlier, somebody mentioned they had 100 SKUs. How many of those were just kind of thrown against the wall? Okay. We want to make sure that we're not just doing that. We want to be very intentional with our cash and time. So the opportunity there is that that turns into roughly $300 a day in profit. And remember, $300 a day in profit on Amazon is every day, Saturday, Sunday, and onwards, right? So we can see that opportunity becoming realized when we change the profitability, not just the volume of units moved. This big difference because a lot of you still think if I move more units, I'm going to make more money. That is not exactly how it works. If there's not enough profit one month to make more unit moved the next month, so if I'm selling 1,000 units this month and I've got $5 in net profit, but I sell 2,000 units next month at $5 in net profit, did I actually gain anything? No. If you actually sit down and do the cost calculations, you're going to discover you have more inventory cost that actually take your profit from 5 down to like 3. Because what you should have done is kept at 1,000 units the next month, but increase your profitability from 5 to 10. Kept the same units, but increased your profitability and then worked at that metric because volume is vanity. And so many people focus on volume as a metric instead of a portfolio of products that create that volume. And out of that volume, certain heroes will appear and they will tell you where to put your cash and they will show you how to elevate your business. You do that correctly, 6 figures in profit is not that complicated. It's in the numbers and it's in the time. So these numbers match up hopefully more with your business expectations because they do mine. Something what I want to call a high business case for a lot of you, maybe, maybe not. Some of you guys are some go-getters on here, and that's super awesome. But by my standards, what I'm shooting at here is just a starting point. That is just the starting point. That's 328,000 on a million or so in revenue, and I want to extrapolate that for every million in revenue the business can drive at the top line, which is growth, and I always want to be focused on growth so that I can now see the unit economics focus next of making more per a unit, raise my profitability as my top line growth is going up too, right? So that's where we want to make sure we focus on that. And here's what a quick word on friends not letting friends sell $20 products on Amazon. That was like 10 years ago, folks. If you're in the $20 to $30 range, those are products that should be lead magnet identifiers of your brand that go out and get more organic traffic for your higher profit products. But you should make sure that you are increasing the profitability and retail price point $50 to $100 or more of the products that are currently setting in your portfolio. If that's you who are selling the $20 or less, there's no shame in the game. Just know that that's probably one of the reasons why your business is stagnated. You're constantly fighting a cost and ads, and that you think that's your for where you should be fighting your business right now. Where you should be fighting is not there. It's actually in the unit economics and profitability of your brand, and then the ads will actually work a lot easier. Okay, we got some things out of order. So together, we're done with you guys. We will help you implement this in the product launch playbook, right? And the goal is to get you to a CEO operator role. That's what we're talking about today. That's all I want to make is more CEO operators. If you're basically interested in buying these business, who is interested? Well, I am. I'm one of them. I'm talking to you today. I'm a buyer, right? So I'm talking to you from the perspective of what I think you should do so that you can present a business that's worth buying. And the others are corporate suitors, private equity groups, and individual investors. I happen to be connected to a lot of home offices. Back in the time that I was raising capital, I made a lot of connections, didn't burn any bridges. Had one person that was pissed off at me because we didn't take the capital, and the rest of them were like, hey, thank you. And 2 to 3 years later, I've got a couple calls from people who were like, hey, thanks for not getting us involved in that. So didn't burn those bridges. But I've opened up the door to a lot of capitalization behind me, including capitalization for existing businesses to help them grow even faster. I have 44 capital partners behind me. And I also have a whole network of growth and M&A businesses and people involved in the growth of those. So I have a whole lot of people interested in buying these companies. So when we begin with the business and the exit in mind, there is more value in that than at any other stage in the business building processes. So how do we get this platinum principle wrapped up here for the moment? It is to ensure that you understand why some companies are growing and others stall. Hopefully, a lot of the information I gave you today is answering that question. The question for you is to determine how much and how fast you want to grow. All right. What is going to drive your growth? I have my whys: faith, family, finances, and freedom. I talked about that earlier, right? I have my whys. There's 4 of them plus my wife. So that's a total of 5. I have my whys. Okay. What are yours? How is your company operating today? How is it operating? Does it need to change? Should it change after today? Have you put some things on paper today? Have you thought through some of this and realized I should be making some of these changes today? I hope so. How ready your people and systems are to handle the growth? How are you aligned in such a way where you can handle growth? It may not just be people, it may be an AI operating system that you haven't even installed yet. And what challenges are you facing in the market? See, the difference between fear and growth is courage, right? And we can always focus on opportunities and problems. Those are kind of easy. But if we're always solving problems and we think that's the opportunity, we're never going to take faith to move from faith through growth and into to what it takes, which is courage. It's courage to risk for the things you know in the future you want to get. And you must be moving that forward. And you must be constantly asking yourself, am I investing enough in growth? Right? Am I investing enough in growth? Most CEOs inadvertently shift resources to improvement, hacks, this, Amazon ads, optimizations, this kind of stuff, at the expense of growth. How many do you think you are doing that today? Just give me a yes in the comments. I'm just curious. It's no shame if you say this. No one's going to pick on you. I'm just curious. So, as you're answering that question, what I want to remind you is the exit strategy is your business strategy. And I hope that's one of the greatest secrets you guys got out of today. This is the platinum principle. This is the growth. This is the opportunity that pays you while you grow, but can give you that generational wealth opportunity in the end. We've got those people I mentioned today and a whole lot more who are building their businesses to generational opportunities. And I hope that's something that you get today because the value is for you. It's not even for me. Now, how do we win? Well, we win at the possibility that we do something together. We may do something together. This could be the end. Or is it? That's going to be up to you. So, those of you who are still hanging out with me now, I have something of value I want to share with you today, but only with your permission. Now, I haven't spoken a lot in detail about voltage. Okay. I've talked around it a little bit. I talked about some of the things we're doing. I haven't talked about our incubator or business mentoring or even, I mentioned the AI operating system, but I haven't. So, with your permission only, would you allow me to take 7 more minutes of your time and introduce you to the membership, introduce you to what we're doing? So, I'll pause for a second, grab a drink, and I'm going to look at the chat and I just want to make sure, with your permission only, am I allowed to do that today? And if you don't want to hear it, then you are welcome to leave. Take your free stuff today, go execute it. Take the information from today, go execute it. Execute it. Put my name. It's only 3 letters, TWA, in your mind. Go check out the High Voltage Business Builder podcast. Learn some more. Do your due diligence. I encourage everyone to. If you're on the replay, pause. Go away. That's okay too. I'm only going to look to talk to a couple 6 more minutes. Richard said, "I'm sorry, Richard. I'm a long-winded bro. Sorry." Richard's calling me out. That's awesome. I like that guy already. All right, so let's get into it. It's 6 more minutes. I'll talk faster, Richard. I'll talk faster, bro. So what is Voltage? Voltage is an incubator. It's a brand aggregator. Let's say that right. It's an incubator. It is a membership by which I've only let 320 people join since 2019. It is an exclusive, behind the scenes, non-course, non-program mentoring relationship like the people we talked about earlier to build them into stronger companies with the exit in mind. Okay. That is to manage brands, control them, optimize them, build their portfolio with the explicit intent of moving that vision forward, the vision of exiting that company at a strong, strong valuation. Okay. Less owner dependent, better cash flow and net profitability at the bottom line, giving us more ways to sell that business to ensure that it grows larger. So we run brands. That's what we do. We incubate, we grow, we exit, we acquire. In my membership, I let people come into that conversation on a private one-on-one with us to have time, energy, and attention and deployment of money in the right way to ensure that they do the same, like Ashley, David, and Daniel, and others. Okay. That's the simplicity of what we're talking about here. So one of the things I want you to understand about this invitation is that more tools will not fix the fundamentals of business, especially if they're aligned wrong. If you try to lay AI information and technology over a bad business fundamental, you're going to get garbage out. It's the old garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend a lot of time kicking your heels around, wasting time, energy, attention, and money trying to figure it all out, while others are literally blowing past you in a market that is completely consolidating. So you need to understand where those folks are, where that room is, so that you understand how to take advantage of yourself, because your competitors are doing it and they're doing it at an alarming rate. And that's something you should understand. If you have some traction, you're simply going to move faster. If you're new, I'm not saying that we wouldn't invite you to the room, but your criteria is going to be a little bit higher. All right. Your time, energy, attention, and money, the team effort by which we're going to work is going to have a little bit higher lift. So your expectations are going to be a little different. That's why we want to have a conversation. So if you build something real, the goal to be able to sell it, to move it, to optimize it, and grow it forward doesn't mean you have to be perfect in the process, but it means you have to act imperfectly along the way. And something perfect will happen every day. It literally will. It's something I tell my kids continuously as I homeschool them, mentor them, and grow them. Okay? I don't want your perfection. I want your action. I don't want your activities. I want to see the productivities of what you do. I want to see the outcome of the numbers and challenges. And my girls are actually, I have one that does an eBay business. and she's 14. I have one that does influence marketing, videos, and coloring books and other things that she builds out of her creativity to help us power one of our brands. So that's amazing. She's involved in that in the business. And the other two are very close to getting involved as they figure out kind of where they want to go. I'm building them all into it. That's my purpose, right? I'm sharing that with them so they can share it with others. Plan to put 50 to 100K in your business over the next 12 months. You're going to have to run. This is not small ticket items. This is not, well, I wonder if I should grow my business. This is growth. This is growth focused 60% of the time. This is to defy the odds and keep your business scaling. This is what this is about. 25,000 to voltage over the year gives you the room, the coaching, and the data. 25,000 into your company or more. We can talk about different levels of how that works as you're going to build, test, grow, and optimize. And the universal filter here we're going to put on this today, out of no shame in the game, okay, is that you need at least $50,000 to do this, okay? Growth does not come without risk. We talked about that a minute ago in terms of opportunities and reward. Your next level of growth will be your ability to identify, inventory, and capitalize the customer need into intent demands that are probably sitting right in front of you right now. And the goal is to get you into a position to take advantage of those, like the others, as fast as you can. It is 12 months. It is 2 calls per month of private coaching with myself, my team of operators, my coaches who are running these companies every day, running them at the ground level using our systems. We have a weekly meeting room where each week we go through this in detail. It's a small room for a reason. We have private coaching chats, which are all, excuse me, I just swallowed something. Also intended to help you through and overcome your hurdles. They are not there to be your rah-rah coaches. They are not there to be your Tony Robbins. I'm not here, in case you figured out today, to be a life coach. Okay. These are to push you past your boundaries in business. Okay. These are to push you to a position where you have chat optimization, a board of advisors, a mentorship, and someone sitting at your right hand to chat with us anytime you want in a chat group, unlimited, just chat, talk, ask questions, send an audio, or meet a couple times a month with anybody who specifically you need help with to also get access to the full system of our AI operating system called Cayman Data and to execute a plan of action over 90 days. That is the room to get into to ensure that you're building at scale and growth. It is the playbook that we have used for 13, 14 years to build more than 100 million in sales ourselves, and our clients do well more than 100 million a year inside of our membership. These are the steps, the businesses, the applications, the network, okay? This is the playbook that I don't give out beyond an NDA, just so we're very clear. Everybody signs an NDA. It's a competitive advantage. It's yours and mine. That's why you won't see a lot of the things that I will tell you out in the public sphere. I started doing that a while back in 2005 and 7. Some of you may have heard of search buy campaigns and all this other stuff. I invented that. I put it in the market. I ran webinars and had a few things in the past, and then I disappeared because so many people were stealing my ideas and trying to compete against me, and I wasn't really cool with that. So we have a membership that validates your products and your business to ensure you're not competing with other members, that you're setting in front of a board of advisors that holds accountability to ensure your growth, and a full AI operating system that we will install in your business. Not just Amazon ads, to be very clear. It is the full accountability. All right. So over 90 days, we're going to diagnose your specific connection to the data. We're going to go all through the 8 areas. I'll mention them in a minute. They will go through your business and identify all the opportunities and choose which top problems should be addressed and as quickly as they can be addressed. Then we're going to go make those changes in the next 60 days. You're going to work with a coach. You're going to work with the systems. You're going to put a plan in place. You're going to execute that plan for growth. And in days 61 through 90, you're going to make it a repeatable process. 1 quarter of work to define the measure, document the routine, plan the next quarter for growth, and start seeing that become a year, annually run rate kind of business. I'm seeing it every quarter. I'm seeing it change. I'm seeing the results grow. I'm seeing it to become a repeatable process without question. And what happens is you start turning off all the noise because now you're starting to focus in on the things you should be paying attention to, your time, energy, attention, money. Your activity is no longer messing with your productivity because you're actually getting things done. You know you should be doing what you should be doing. And by the way, it's taking you less time to do it. Okay. So we use it in our operations. It was developed by us. I started into building our systems 3 years ago. 3 years ago. In 2024, that's when the first frontier model actually came out. I was playing with models before that. I was already building it into my operations. We have spent a lot of time perfecting that in our operations over the last 3 years, only faster as more models have come out, more systems have come out, loop engineering, tactics, and strategies, multi-engineered systems of skills, 111 tools. Like we have it all built into that operation. Okay. It connects your account, your data, but make no mistake, You stay in control. That's why you have to learn from the room, the experience and knowledge, etc., that moves you forward so that you actually know how to use these systems correctly. If you're coming to just use the systems without the knowledge, you're going to break something. You're going to break something in your business, and that can't happen. You need to make sure you understand the strategies and execution first, like Ashley and David did, and Daniel, or using these tools will accidentally cause in and out garbage. Now, there's guidelines and controls to try to stop that. But if you're in control of the answer and it's going to do something maybe it suggests that should be done, and you're like, no, I don't know if I should do that, and you do it anyways, you can create a problem. So let's be careful with that. These are the 8 operating areas. Many of you have heard about Amazon PPC and advertising. That's a lot of what people talk about. But Voltage is an Amazon solution provider. We're part of the SPN network. We were certified in our data to become an SPN so we could get access to all the data that Amazon was hiding from us as a solution provider network certified company. So now that we have that, and it crawled up all into our business for a long time, now that we have that access, I have access to APIs and information others do not, and it goes way beyond Amazon PPC and advertising. I'm also a part, Voltage is of the NSI Plus program. For those of you who are doing less than 50,000 already, we can insert you into that program, which comes with free lightning deals, bonuses, account management, and about $50,000 a year in support for the first year for free. I can enroll you in that. Okay, that can be a huge benefit for growing your business and optimizing and having account management support for when things go wrong on Amazon, which they do, by the way. I'm sure you know that. And then we can help you with even expansion of these 8 areas into Walmart, which we are also a channel partner with out of Bentonville. I have 75,000 in bonuses with them. I talk with them every week. We have a channel partner liaison who works at the top end of Walmart HQ. He's working with us in our brands to get us into the actual stores and is committed that every brand I bring him is going to get the opportunity to put their products in Walmart if they qualify as well. So now I have an inroad to retail for products that qualify through that mechanism, but we can get you in a years and account membership with them, white glove treatment, the onboarding, and all their systems, tools, free programs, and all the other stuff for an entire year to get an account manager inside Walmart HQ. That's not an easy thing to do, but I've been able to get that for everybody and myself. And so each of these sections are something that gets focused on each part of the business. They go to the top end of that audit. Then you see where you should be doing the management optimizations. What are the top tasks you should actually be handling? As part of Cayman Data AI, we institute that and implement it with you into your business to ensure it's done correctly. And now you're controlling every part of your business, not just one. And with the right system and technology, you now have an entire operations team behind you. So the question I get a lot at this point, Seth, is if you're having this kind of success, why are you doing this? Okay, I kind of hinted around about it earlier in the exit. I'll say it once again. When you guys get to a position where your business is a saleable asset, that is when I can help you exit the company. When I help it exit the company, I've done this for a number of people. We either act as the broker, we potentially buy the company, or we work at a situation where I bring the buyers in and help you build a very high-end exit in which we all win in the end. And there is more money to be made in that exit than all of us are talking about here today. So when that comes forward, there's the time and opportunity to move you into a position where my big, hairy capitalistic agenda gets fit. All right. And what is that? We exit your company and everybody makes some bank. That's the objective, right? Everybody's like, what's your 3 to 5 year plan? Well, every 3 to 5 years, it's to move one of my members to an exit and to get them into a position where we do it together. So that's it, right? The more successful you become, the more your business is worth, the more we both get successful when the business comes to an exit. And I help everybody through that process. I've done it many times. My partner and I are very good at each part of the business. He's the CFO, COO. I'm obviously the CEO. And together we know the network, the relationship, the numbers, the pro forma, the business, the proper exit, the proper valuation. And we have the network to ensure that it goes out and the support to make sure the buyers are super interested in it going, which means it's just not for every seller, right? For those of you who are still hanging on here, I appreciate you very much. I've spent a lot of time with you today and you've been very gracious with your time. It's not for everybody. I get it. Price, money, risk, time, due diligence, these are all factors that everybody wants, a little skepticism, etc. I completely understand. But some of you are not ready to be coached, and that's okay. Some of you are, set into the way you do things and don't necessarily want to change them, and that's okay. I'm not here to change your ideas. I'm here to give you an opportunity to look at ideas at a different perspective, a different angle. And that doesn't mean that it's going to come across right for everybody. So we're being honest. That's that category there called honesty, right? It's also about revenue, honesty, profit, inventory, challenges and struggles, opportunities. You need to be ready to actually take on the effort and the actions and the due diligence and the work that has to be done in your business to make this become a reality. I'm not going to do the work for you. The systems can do the work for you, but you also have to do the work and put in the effort, just like Ashley and David and Daniel did to see those kinds of outcomes. You may have a hero skew. You may be moving towards 50 to 100K already in a month. And that's definitely a right time for you to get optimized, focused, and really intentional about that growth trajectory, which makes it such a play where you're going to have to put a little more courage into the next steps. Because the bigger the quadrant, the bigger the numbers, the greater the courage. That's just the way that it works, right? And everybody has a different level of courage. One guy's 500, is another guy's 5,000, is another guy's 50, is another guy's 500, and so on, or person or woman, whatever. It really has to do with where you fit into your comfort zone. But if you're going to expand, you got to get a new comfort zone, right? So if you come to meet me, if you come to have a conversation with me, because that's how this is going to work, you're going to talk with me, and I'm going to hand you a book, all right, the strategy book. I'm going to send you a physical copy of my book. It's sitting on my shelf right here. It's something I wrote. And I wrote it over 2 years ago, and it is called Almost Automated Income with FBA. I talked about the systems, processes, automations, remove the owner, and wouldn't you know it, by the grace of God, I had a little foresight, a little, I don't know what you want to call it, like crystal ball. But this is more legitimate now with AI than it ever has been. And I wrote this 2 years ago. I'm going to give you a copy of that book just for showing up. And I want you to keep it as a strategy guide. I want you to read it. I want you to be, it's going to be part of the playbook. It's going to be part of the outcome. You'll need to book a time with me. You'll need to watch a short business overview. You're going to need to complete a disc assessment. Well, Neil, why are you asking for all of this? Why? Every hurdle I put somebody through shows their intent and outcome. Every challenge I put in front of you to get my time is whether or not you're willing to put your time, energy, attention, and money to actually being serious, right? You have to be serious. You're welcome to Google my name and my company. You're not going to find a whole lot about me, excuse me, or negative reviews or crap on the internet because I choose very carefully who I work with, and I hope you do too. And so I'm going to put you through a few steps just to see how serious you are. And one of them is also, I think, has been in the past, I know, helped people understand themselves better. It's called a DISC assessment. All right. The DISC assessment is a four quadrant of business, not an INFG and how I feel. It is about how my aptitude toward business currently sets. That assessment is going to help me see where you are, going to help me understand where you go. And when you meet, we'll go through the roadmap. The book will be yours if you show up. And that'll be something that we kind of help each other with in strategy and talk. Why? Because I want to address your main problems. What's holding you back? What's holding you back from profit and growth? What's holding you back from the freedoms and goals you're after? I want to plan your next 90 days with you and ensure you have an exact timeline of goals and expectations to do this correctly. And I want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. We want to get in the boat and row the right direction. I don't want to get in the boat with anybody and start rowing in circles because that doesn't benefit either of us. And I want to figure out where we attack your business correctly and then build that roadmap off of what we plan to do, what we were capable of doing, and set expectations of where you should go and set you up on the right path. It'll be a 30-minute Zoom, maybe 45. Again, you're going to book with me directly, and we're going to have that conversation. If that is something, and I think I may have gone over 7 minutes, Richard. If that is something that might be of interest to you, I'm opening 30 spots on my calendar right now for those of you who are interested in having that conversation. I want to leave you better than I found you. I will look at the invite possibility of you coming, and you might consider it as well. It has to be a mutual thing, and there will be an invite. There will be an NDA if you decide to join. There is that annual fee of 25K per year to be involved, and you are going to get access for 6 months for free to my Cayman AI data system. That is the system that will operate, run, and grow your business. In the first 90 days, we will find money in your business. In the first 90 days, I believe it can pay in some businesses for itself. In the first 90 days, I want to get you into a rhythm of growth and execution that becomes perpetual and gives you the opportunity to put that engine really into place and moving good. So if you book that call, you're going to talk with me. It's very important you understand that. You're not going to talk to a closer. That's not how this goes. We're going to have a conversation. You can scan that or go to voltagedm.com/talk to Neil. There's no obligation to join. I may say it's not a good fit. You might not think it's a great fit either. That's okay. If we mutually come to that, then an invite might be the next step. So we're going to find out where your revenue and profit picture is. You're going to get this details on the page too when you scan over. What's your problems that need to be solved and how we can address solving those in the first 90 days? And what kind of company do you want to do in 12 months, right? What can we do together in the next 12 months to really churn you from an Ashley, from where Ashley was or where David was or Daniel or Matt into somebody who can really achieve the growth and goals you're after. And you may want to start a company. That might be something you're interested in too. And I welcome you to come have that conversation with me. Let's get it on the table, what it really takes to do this, right? And what the first 12, 24, 36 months really look like and put a 3 to 5 year projection in place so that you can see that happening. 3 to 5 years, folks, is not a long time. I mean, I don't know about you, Seth, but it's like 6 years after 2020, and for me, that went really fast. Like a whole lot of stuff changed like really quickly. So, yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else feels that way, but I do.
Yeah, man, time leapt forward for sure. Neil, thank you so much for putting this on. There's so many questions that have popped up, but
Yeah, is
also
there?
so much great feedback. Like Richard said, Neil is the most interesting person in all of Amazon that I've ever seen. He was trying to track you down on LinkedIn. He's like, I hope I can send him a message, yada yada. I was like, just hang out, Richard. You can have a
Yeah,
call with
yeah,
Neil.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
or hit me up on those places too. One way or another, we're going to probably end up here if you're not seeing this. But yeah, I'm on the social medias. I'm LinkedIn. I'm on the other places. Wherever you're comfortable there too. If you just want to chat, or my text message number, private number, will be on that booking call too, where you can actually text me directly and you will get me. Or maybe my assistant if I'm busy, Nicole. But otherwise, you will have a contact in one way or another. You will also chat with me there.
all right, amazing, Neil. So let's just recap what everybody's looking at right here. There's a
Okay.
bunch of questions like Ryan and Annette and Richard had a few questions too, like
Okay.
about what this is. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk about it. I put the link in the chat box, guys, if you want to book this call. Neil, you're essentially having to book a call. They're going to meet with you. They're
That's right.
going to, before that, go through a disc assessment
That's right.
that pertains to how their um, internal hardwiring currently applies to business. You can
Correct.
understand them and they can understand themselves, and
Correct.
then they're going to walk away from that call, whether or not they do any business with you or not, with a 90-day roadmap. Is that right?
90-day roadmap, plan and strategy, action, a book, a physical copy of the book that gives them the strategies and plans they can start executing. And really, I hope to leave you with, again, more than I found you.
Yeah. So, okay. So then you're going to give them your book. You're going to plan out their next 90 days after digging into their business.
That's right.
And then at the end of that, if you say, hey, look, like I think you're in a good spot where I can really help you, then
Yep.
you might extend them an offer to then, maybe join you in your paid program,
Correct.
which they do not have, there's no obligation to do that at all to
That's
get the
correct.
90-day roadmap or the book.
Nope.
Right. So this is just a
Nope.
pure give.
It is. It's just per gift because one way or another, I want you to know the strategy. I want you to understand the business and opportunity. One day, even if you don't work in my group, I might get a call, which I have in the past, from somebody who says, "Hey, I got all this great information, and by the way, I sold my business." I got one of those calls once, and that was super cool. And he didn't end up becoming part of the membership, which is fine. I didn't get to be a part of the close, which is my
Yeah.
goal, but hey, whatever. Goodwill, good gifts, do more for others than you do for yourself. That's something I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. So your goal, in all transparency, and I think it was Ryan who said, I super appreciate Neil's honesty and transparency. Your goal, Neil, is to help somebody build a business all the way through helping them sell it. That's the transparent goal, right?
Yeah, all the way to the end, right? That's that exit, that platinum principle, that large multiple exit valuation, higher multiples than maybe they think is possible because we have set them up with omni-channel opportunities. We've helped them go all the way possibly to retail, which we can help you do. So we've really helped you go all the way through to the end. And all I want to do in all of that is number one, I want to see your first 12 months with me and my team gain more than 100K in net profit to your business, okay, or be on the path and trajectory to getting as close to there as possible. And then I want in within 3 to 5 years to maybe six, depending upon if you go a little farther because it's getting bigger, it's getting more valued, it's getting a greater multiple to be in the position to help you broker it, possibly buy it, or bring in a buyer that will buy it at a high volume for you, high multiple, right?
So the first year, your internal goal for each person that joins your program is to make an additional $100,000 in net profit.
That's right.
Um, Carrie asked the question, "What's the cost?" Carrie, to
Yep.
book the call and to get the book and to have meet with Neil personally and have him lay out your 90 days, totally free. That's
Correct.
the give that Neil and I came up with. We're like, we got to bring something to you guys, the Seller Growth Network, that you would not normally do. Like you would not normally sit down with somebody and give them free consulting because your time is very valuable.
That's
And
usually a
so
lot of per hour cost.
yeah, Neil is worth a lot of money. His time is very, very, very valuable. So I said, Neil, we got to bring them something awesome. And he said, how about this? And I said, okay, I think that would really, really help people. So, Carrie, do the call. It's free. And then if you want to join Neil's program, he can talk to you about that later. But it's 25,000 bucks. Get you what? The whole year's worth
For an
of.
entire year. Yep.
Yep, and get you the coaching and all the things that you mentioned earlier.
And I include the Cayman AI data system, the operating system
Yep.
we install into your business for the first 6 months for free. And that is about a $9,000 bonus.
Honestly, Neil, there's so much to your program. If somebody's interested, they should probably just book the call, go through the 90-day plan
Yeah,
with you,
find out.
and then talk about like what's actually important to them.
That's
Because
right.
you and I have talked so many times, and it's like the program that you run is so all encompassing that it's kind of hard to even grasp like what this means to each individual person and their needs. So I would say book the call with Neil, have the conversation, get his roadmap for free, and then have the conversation of what does this actually look like to work with you? Because I know a lot of people were asking, like, hey, what's the cost? What's this? Like,
Sure.
um, so Annette asked, like, do you work only in the US market?
I do. For most of my businesses, I have a couple of them that have expanded into the EU and other places. But usually I get that question, and not to pick on you. Who asked that question?
It was a net.
Annette, not to pick on you, Annette, but there's this idea, again, that if I'm not getting enough business on Amazon, then I have to go find it on TikTok. I have to go find it on Walmart, other places. Remember the how and when conversation? The idea that I need to move to another platform with other regulations, VAT taxes, problems in logistics, inventory management, etc., is the idea that if I don't do enough business here in my little place in the world of Amazon in the United States, there's not enough money. That's scarcity thinking. Abundance thinking realizes that your top five people that you're going to compete with, that you want to break into, are already making all the money you could ever want to make. There's just sitting there for you to get it, and it's here in the United States, right? So we don't have to focus on other platforms or places yet until we know when to go get that money. When do we actually go after that? And we will go to other channels in the United States because we are literally like a $2 trillion market of the 7 trillion in the world. So there's enough money to not worry about all the other stuff. Now, if you're based overseas, which is the other half of that, Annette, if you are living in another country, well, David lives in Australia, right? Ashley is in Massachusetts. Daniel is in Alabama. Not to call them out, not going to do that. But there are other people, like we have a New Zealand family, we have another Australian family. We have guys that live in Dubai. They travel. They're players. There's some of them are on top ends. Secretaries of the couple locations and representatives in the United States and political positions that don't want to be talked about. But there is a number of folks that live all around the world who are selling into the United States, and there are certain challenges with that. But we know how to overcome those challenges if you're outside the country and how
Yeah.
to help
So
you.
Annette's in Germany. So
Yeah.
would she still qualify?
Oh, if she wants to sell in the United States or is selling in the United States, absolutely. If she's
Okay.
selling in Germany but wants to sell in the United States, we can certainly help her with that.
Okay. Ryan had some good questions here. Let me flip back. He had sequence here. So he said, okay, so it's $25,000 a year if I want to pay him to be a part of his official membership program. Yes, that's true, Ryan, but you're going to get the call for free and the roadmap for free.
That's right.
But Ryan has the follow up question of can you ask him the historical success percentage and what does that mean to you? And I think you already set the goal of well, success to Neil in the first year is you made an additional 100,000 minimum of net profit. Is that right?
Yes, because I want you to understand something about that question. And it's okay that you asked it that way, but I'm going to rephrase it in such a way that says, what are you going to do for me when I show up? And I want to flip that on its head. And I'm going to say, what are you going to do for yourself when you show up? Right? Those folks like Ashley, Daniel, et cetera, and Matt, they showed up. They did the work. Are there other people who don't show up? Absolutely. Can I say we have a 100% success rate for every person that shows up? Absolutely not. Why? Because I didn't go to their house. I didn't fly in and force their pin. I didn't put their hands on the keyboard and make them punch the buttons. And I didn't have them go to some life coach thing that said, well, you're a, rah, rah, rah. You need to overcome these challenges. Like I said, I was going to be honest and a little bit mean at times, and I'm sorry. But the end result is if you're not willing to show up for yourself, then I'm not going to be able to help motivate you to do the things that are necessary to be done. I can show you the path. I can show you how to drink the water, but I can't make you drink it. Like I have a saying in the country, right? And there's a mindset situation going on here. And it is the idea that, you can't ride two horses with one ass. You have to pick one, right? And if you're going to pick one, then it is the horse you're going to ride no matter what anybody does, what anybody says, what anybody does. You're going to be successful. And if you feel there's a way to get that done in a group or situation or mentor or coach that accelerates that, then you got to show up and make sure it accelerates it, right? I show up. I've showed up for years. I've been one of the original OGs in this market. Seth knows that. The end result is I have been here for a long time. I have just not helped everybody. That's why you haven't heard of me. I can't help everybody. I'm honestly not trying to help everybody because not everybody wants to be helped, right? And that's just the honest truth. And it sounds a little mean when I say it that way, and I don't mean to be mean about it. But with the end result of that question coming, and it's not picking on you, Ryan, to be very clear, it's challenging the mindset, right? It's challenging the mindset of, if I show up, are you going to help me get X? And the question again is, if you show up, are you going to do Y? And your why has to be greater than mine.
Well, Neil, I heard this quote one time, and it's something to the effect of like, you're going to find the success that you made up your mind to find. And that's about true. I
Yeah,
mean, I've seen that so many times. Rosemary had a question though. She said,
sure.
"I have repeatable products, but they are
Yes.
simple products with low selling prices between
Okay.
6 and 12 bucks. Can this work? My yearly Amazon sales are about $2 million. So I think she's interested in maybe having a call with you, maybe going a step further, but like she's selling low price products that you kind
Yeah.
of said, not a good idea.
Yeah, so that's not really a great foundation for overall business. If it's 2 million a year, I'd be curious as to what your net profit is. You don't necessarily have to share it with me, but if it's 10% or lower, there's a huge opportunity to elevate your products right laterally in your niche. I've done this a number of times with people. In fact, Ashley was one of those folks where you are missing that tier two opportunity with your products that haven't been identified, where the customers who are buying your $6 to $12 products are buying $50 to $100 products. They're just not buying yours. And if you get into that position to start selling that and put a tier two aspect to your brand, then what you've now got is $6 to $12 lead magnets at 2 million a year, where the net profitability and growth of your business could be an additional 2 million a year, but at 20 to 30% net profit.
So maybe she just needs to add in some higher priced products, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
so simple terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor said, "Oh, that the commentary about friends don't let friends sell $20 products on Amazon really hurt him."
Ouch. Yeah.
Oh man.
Again, I don't mean to pick on anybody, and I clarify in my language a little bit, and I will t tend to do that. So if I'm not hitting the right notes with you, give me a chance to kind of clarify what I'm saying. If we're not resonating, we're not, as my children say, we're not vibing. Let me give a chance to get on the right vibe.
Hey Ryan, I would just book a call with Neil and have a personal conversation. It's going to be free. This is the only time that I know of that you're going to be able to get on Neil's calendar and do this for free because he offered it specially for me. Take advantage of it, man. Because Ryan had this follow up commentary to what
Okay.
we were talking about a minute ago. He said, "Actually, I
Sure.
was thinking more about the program's ability to adapt to different types of people or different types of
Oh
intelligence.
yeah.
It wasn't a question of whether or not." You are successful and
Yeah,
capable
yeah.
of training, but there are different styles rather than your ability to help people. I think that
Absolutely. Yes, yes,
anybody
yes,
who
yes.
invests 25,000 is serious, or most people would be. So
No,
any
no, great. Like, so
yeah.
let me try to answer it this way, Ryan, and that's a very astute question. I have paid up to 50,000 a year for mentors myself. And I chose those mentors because in my time getting to know them, conversations and watching them, I understood that we had a similar aptitude. We had a similar why. We had a similar background. We had a similar understanding. And so that attracted me to them, but in such a way where I believed that our conversations were going to elevate my understanding and my action was going to be fruitful from that. And I think that's kind of the roundabout way you're going about your question, and I'm trying to answer it in a roundabout way, is to say that yes, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but what we have here is a mentoring, which means it's going to be adapted. The calls you get each month are going to be for you. The private channel is going to be for you and your business only, and that is going to help you solve the questions of your business. Now, here's the thing: not you need to understand something I said earlier. I'm going to say it again because this is very important. All brands are selling to AI engines now. So no matter what product you have, you're selling to an AI engine. So once you understand that concept, then the fundamentals of business are the fundamentals. So where does it actually get different in the business? It gets different with your brand. It gets different with your goals and your outcome. So really 60% of the business is a known thing that should fit every business because it is a fundamental. The difference in that 40% is how your brand approaches the market and how you are willing to risk to attract that brand or grow that brand or get against your competitors. But the rest is going to be similar. So there's a nuance that we talk to each person about because Ashley was not David and David was not Daniel and so on, that allowed them to get into a place where they understood what to do and they became people who could think for themselves enough and the ability to do it. And they grew to a certain point where in one instance, I hadn't heard from, Daniel for more than a year. Then he pops back up on the radar and is telling us where he's going, which is cool because he was just doing it. I mean, he had learned how to do it more in his way. So I hope that answers your question, and we can certainly chat about that a whole lot more, Ryan. And
Here's
everybody's
another.
different, of course, but business
Yeah.
is business.
So Rosemary's net profit about the
Oh yeah, yeah,
low
yeah, yeah.
ticket is 25 to 30% already. Neil, I think she's
Woohoo!
got a huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity. Now the difference between your risk to reward ratio is your difference between fear and courage. Growth will be there, right? If you're willing to move into the courage category to launch additional products at a higher price point, it will extract, you probably move less units of inventory, which will help on one end because if you're moving 6 to 12 at that amount, you're probably moving a lot of inventory to make that happen because that's a volume play. But what if you can make more money with less units and have a lot less complexity? Because that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I love it. Hey guys, if you took action here and booked a call with Neil, I'd love to know. I know we're 2 hours in,
Oh
but so
yeah,
you guys
we're
are definitely
whoops, sorry
action
guys.
takers. There were so many good questions though, Neil. Like Fernanda asked, or you
Yeah.
stirred up everyone. Like Fernanda asked, we launched in May, started ads 2 weeks after launching. We are not selling well. Should I
Mhm.
stop the ads immediately, or is this too late? Should I? Do I need to start over?
No, you're in optimization mode now. You've gone that far. So now what you really have to look at is the metrics of conversion, your listing images, your data and optimization, and your Amazon ads. Three areas you'd want to tackle in alignment. And installing the AI system, and it would give us the data necessary to show you exactly what changes to make. You may have a too low conversion rate. You may have a high impression count that's not converting. You may not be getting the kind of click-throughs you're expecting when people land, which means they're not convinced to buy your product, or you may have found, they're returning it too high. These are all going to be variables of a conversation that we probably should have. But I would say you're in the right place to take advantage of that. It's not too late, and you haven't really burned any bridges at this point. But here's the thing, as I said earlier, it it may be as radical as relaunching that product, right?
Yeah.
And that's not as hard as you might think. It comes with some costs, but it's not as hard as you might think.
Yeah. Trevor had a very specific question. He said, if I have a product that I
Uh-huh.
developed, introduced to the market, and had a wave, as I best equate to the wave discussion, great numbers and reviews that have stacked up over 8 years, the current data suggests it has great conversion potential. I just cannot get in front of the market with views. Is relaunching something you would consider? Obviously, I would lose 4,100 reviews at 4.5 stars. Any thoughts for Trevor?
Trevor, that's an amazing question and probably too complicated to answer today.
I
Because
think Trevor should book a call.
I think you should book with me, and let's unpack that a little bit. I wouldn't be able to tell you immediately at that level of information what the right choice would be, and I would not make a wrong decision today for you without the additional information.
Trevor, that's why we always try to do something special. We want to make connections that you otherwise couldn't have gotten. We want to give you things that you otherwise, couldn't get on your own. So Neil's opened up his calendar very graciously and said, "Hey, I'll just meet with these people. I'll meet with you as a seller. I'll meet with you as a business owner and look at your businesses and your specific issues, your specific potential, and look at this stuff." And that's
Yeah,
why
let's
it's
unpack it.
so valuable. Yeah,
Absolutely, as I mentioned to her. And if you join the membership, do I need to pay the full membership? The full membership fee I mentioned is a pay in full discount, and we'll talk about that. No, you do not. There is a random, let's say, opportunity for an installment. If I feel like you're going to put in the work, and there's a good faith aspect to that. I'm not a bank, not for you guys. I got 4 daughters, so I bank a lot in other places. But there is an
uh,
opportunity if we agree to do that, if the invite's mutual, and we can talk that over. Really, it's going to come down to your numbers, your business, our conversation, and really making sure that I understand where you're going. I want to positively impact you for the greater future. I don't want to burden anybody now, which means in some cases it might not be the right time. But Sonia, let's chat about that. Let's find out where you're going and where you are. Let's not just say no. Let's say KNOW at the moment until we figure out what goes on
yeah.
next.
So Sonia, book a call,
Please do.
talk with Neil.
Let's chat.
Rosemary, book a call. Yes, for sure. You have a huge opportunity, I
Yeah,
think.
I think she does. Yeah. Rosemary was
I'd
the 2 million with the margins.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely let's
Ace,
chat, Rosemary. There's a lot to do there.
yeah, Ace Savon said hi. Savon, are you interested in speaking with Neil, or did you already book? Annette, did you book with Neil? I know you were in Germany, but maybe you're selling in the U.S. And then Ryan, I definitely think you should book based on all the commentary. And then hopefully Richard grabbed a call because
Yeah, Richard.
Richard had it looks like he had to pop out of there, but Richard had some of the most insane like points about your presentation as you were delivering it. Your points about tacos and your points about all those golden nuggets. Richard is dying to meet with you, Neil. So I'm gonna
Right
make
on.
that connection happen regardless.
Awesome.
Because Richard's a stud. I just met with him the other day and we hung out for like an hour and he'd be a great fit.
Yeah. And I think is it Hassan or Hassan? I don't want to say your name wrong. Forgive me. You asked about what did you say it was to enroll for 50K less than revenue? Oh, so what I mentioned that the 50K is obviously part of that would be the voltage fee. The other part of it is how you're going to deploy the capital. And I want you to be very smart about how you deploy your capital in your business. So that 25K is to win in how you would deploy it in optimizations of your business over that 90 days, or how you would deploy it into new products in your business. And then what you need to understand, everyone needs to understand this, Seth, and I know you know this. And maybe I'll ask you this question. What's the number one factor of success in an inventory-based business model?
Cash.
Cash. How much you capitalize your inventory. Did you know that you, again, I said this earlier, but I'm gonna say it again because sometimes people miss, and I threw a lot of things out there just now. When your conversion rate is up, when you're optimizing your tacos down to 20%, which is my metric, by the way, 20% tacos, when you're moving capital inventory around and you see growth as an opportunity for your product, where and how much cash should you deploy into that product? Anybody got an idea? There's a phrase I'm looking for. I'm curious if anyone's going to say it.
Hit me, Neil. What is it?
However much it takes. No, the
Taking
answer is however much it takes. Why? Because the algorithmic engine is going to do one last thing with your listing that you really have to understand. And this happens now more than ever because of the way that the customer need intent engine has changed. Okay, it's changed. I didn't change it. This is the way it changed. I have to feed the beast. That's what we call it. If my inventory level is 10,000 units and yours is 1,000 units or 5,000 units, the engine is going to preference me, even if your conversion rate is higher than mine, even if your return rate is lower than mine. If my inventory is greater and the customer need and demand is there, it will preference my traffic and sales above yours. Do I need to say that a different way or did that hit right?
I think it hits. Neil, people used to ask us all the time, "What should my marketing budget be?" I was like, "Well, that's an irrelevant question."
It's not right. It's whatever it takes to acquire a customer.
Yeah, and then
This is
they
the
would say things like, "Well, I'm running at a 30% profit margin. How much should I spend? As much as you can." It's
like
like,
15% of that. If you want to grow faster, like
yeah,
more, the point is like the the risk reward is whether or not I'm willing to do something you're not. If I'm willing to capitalize my SKU higher, if I'm willing to put my inventory level higher, when my conversion rate metrics and system is working better than yours, then the system will simply preference me over you because it is data. It is all data driven. It actually has nothing to do with the product. Who matters in the product, Seth? When does the product actually matter?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It
Guys, I
matters
just,
when the customer gets the product, they open the product, they love the product, and they don't return the product.
yep.
That's when it actually matters for the product. Now, you guys have to think this through for a second, because every time I say this, people's heads don't follow along with this. They explode a little internally. It is not about the product until after the sale. Up until the sale, it is all about the data. That's it.
Mhm.
And when the algorithm wants you to go, you have to go with it. You got to capitalize. You got to find that money. When you need a $250,000 PO to get that next level of inventory because you want to hit that next growth level, when that capital inventory checks into Amazon and now AWD because they've linked FBA and AWD together in terms of online connectivity for your algorithmic ranking, thanks to the updates they made. Then when that checks in 30, 60, 90 days, I've seen businesses go from 100 to 300 to 500,000 a month in 90 days. What
That's
else
crazy.
did they do? Nothing. They checked in more inventory, and the system rewarded them by putting them in front of more propagation across their systems as the higher need customer intent product, and it simply scaled their business. They didn't change their ads, they didn't change their listings. That all was already dialed in. They leveled up their inventory. We do this so many times, I can't tell you how much. Right now, I got three brands. We're upping about $800,000 worth of inventory. In March, we put 800,000 of inventory into another brand. So when we're doing this with successful products, and some of these you know are in home and kitchen, some of them are in music, some of them are in other places. I build a brand specific for every product, so I can see its segmentation. One of them a countertop home and kitchen device. We just put it in. It shot right through the roof again. We're doing about 50 sales a day when we were out of stock for like 2 months. See, there's ways to get the algorithm system to reward you where stockouts are not good, not good. But I did it intentionally because I wanted to prove that product. And instead of relaunching the listing because we were so dialed in at 8% conversion rate on that listing, that the operator's like, well, I don't want to change the listing. And I'm like, that's fine. So we relaunched it and it just shot through the roof again. So now we're going to be getting it on Walmart next, right? We're
Well, yeah.
opening Walmart channel and moving it.
So Neil, that's amazing. Trevor has the specific question then. It
Yes.
sounds like the answer is going to be yes. If I
Okay.
have the inventory to flood into Amazon, should I do it even though Amazon's not asking me to send more inventory?
If, and this is probably a great conversation for you and I to break it down on a call because I want to know your specifics. Don't put them in this chat. Like I don't, I mean, we'll talk in a private way, Trevor, about your product and stuff. But if you are overtaking market share, if your conversion rate is above 3% on your listing, if you have more than $12 in net profit, if your Amazon tacos is dropping down from 80 to 50 to 60, excuse me, to 60 to 40 and coming down as you're moving that product into the market, then 100% yes, you should. But let's look at all those metrics specific to you. because I wouldn't answer that like as a definitive yes yet
Yeah.
until I get the rest of that information to be very clear. But it sounds like if you have a lot of things ready to go, then you want to make sure you do it in the right order, right? Just
Yeah.
putting more inventory into a bad listing with not conversions that are going to get you in the top 5 spots of your competition. It's just going to be more inventory that costs you more fees in storage costs while it's sitting in there not moving.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So he says, thank you so much for that.
Okay. Awesome.
So if you didn't get the call, Trevor, highly recommend get the call.
Yeah, man. Let's
Um,
chat.
so let's see here. Ryan says we are homeschoolers as well, and
Right
we're
on.
also teaching our kids
Ah,
business. Thank you for sharing your experience and
dude, thanks for
wisdom.
sharing that, Ryan. That's super awesome, man. I love my homeschooling families. I push for that every day, week, and month. There's nothing more you can invest in the next generation than the family you have sitting right in front of you. I had a guy on the other day. He was this YouTuber, and he was on my podcast, and he was going on about his life and people he was helping and doing all these things. And I said, "Well, what about your kids?" Well, they all go to public school. I'm like, "Well, don't you have the time to like help them out?" Well, yeah, well, I suppose I do. And he calls me back about 3 weeks later. He's like, "I had this really good conversation with my wife, and we're talking very seriously about homeschooling." I'm like, "Man, if you're going to preach to the choir on YouTube, you better be acting on it, right?"
I
Yeah.
love it.
So yeah, act on it. And it's the greatest investment. I've been away from my kids for like a handful of times in 20 years, right? I've seen their every step, every opportunity. My wife has become the CEO of the house. Love her dearly for her risk and reward. She gave up her career as an RN. She was going to be a nurse practitioner. Decided she wanted to be a mama. Can't stop that, right? Do not stop a mama when she wants to become a mama. She's been amazing at that, and we have some amazing kids. And probably, yeah, Ryan's laughing. He knows what I'm talking about. You get
Yeah,
it.
for sure. Guys, I put the link to Neil's calendar back in the chat box, or you can scan the QR code. Highly recommend grabbing a call with Neil. Neil, I know you only opened up 30 slots.
I did.
Um, you are tight on time. I know that. I do
Yes.
not want to abuse you.
No, you're
Um,
okay.
if those get full, guys, I'm sorry, but take advantage of it while you can. That's why I highly recommend to attend the sessions live because things like this don't come up like that often. Neil and I have zero plans to do the session again. So this is your chance. Neil is obviously one of the smartest people in the space. You can tell that because he just dropped golden nuggets for the last 2 hours. Everybody in the chat box was blown away. There's people blowing up the WhatsApp group on. You can't see that, Neil, but they were
Right
saying
on.
like, "Oh my gosh, like I missed some of Neil's session. Can I get the replay?" They're already asking for the replay. The
Right
session's
on.
not even
Do
over,
that with a
which
replay.
is amazing. So why I say that is because if you're on the fence of grabbing a free call with Neil, take advantage of it because when I send out the replay, I know for a fact the rest of the spots or whatever is left available is going to fill up. So take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah. And there's
Neil,
one last thing about that, if I may.
go ahead.
There's a literal non-scarcity situation by which, as an Amazon um, SPN provider, in which I have only so many connections to connect to their network. So I have a literal restriction on the number of people I can actually connect through our MCP, and our MCP has been proven, validated, and data certified by Amazon directly in order to do this. So when we connect our Cayman AI operating system through your seller account and into Amazon, I only have so many connections. I can't push the connections. This is as many as I'm able to give. So that's kind of how this works. So when I say there's like 30 spots, there's literally, if they're all 30 interested in joining, that's my max. That's all I can connect to the
Yeah.
system. And they may let us have some more later. I don't know. That's not, we have to go through more levels of due diligence, but that's not a fake scarcity. That's a literal technical restriction they put on us
Yeah.
to ensure we keep integrity of data.
So even if you were willing to risk or give up more of your time, if somebody wanted to actually be in the program with
They
you,
might have to go on a waiting list.
they might have to go on a waiting list.
A
Okay.
legitimate waiting list because I just don't have enough. I don't have the extra spots open.
Because Amazon will not allow it. Okay.
That's right.
All right, guys. So let's give some love to Neil. I know you guys have been finding that thumbs up and heart throughout, but like
Right
Neil
on.
took so much time to put this all together for you guys. I really appreciate you, Neil,
Thank you, sir.
doing this. Like I've gotten, if you went back and read all the chat, you would see how much value that you actually brought to the world today because
Oh,
so
awesome.
many people said that you really helped clarify a thought or share something that they didn't know or shed light on something. So
Oh, very
really,
good.
really
Very good.
valuable today, Neil. I'm going to
Well, I'm
definitely
honored.
get this replay sent out. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, I would just remind everybody from the actionable items that were given out today. Hopefully, you scanned that. Please go take those and use them. Just to remind you of the same thing I say on my podcast every time I end it: do something imperfectly, and something perfect will happen along the way.
I love it. Well, Rosemary had one last
Oh,
question
sure.
here.
One last thought.
which is if there's a competitor that you already are involved with, does that mean that we should not move forward with the call, or will you take the call anyway?
I will take the call and making sure that it is not a crossover to a specific product that is already directly being supported in our members group. We'll identify that as part of the call. Should that occur, I apologize, but it's first come, first serve. I won't work with two competitors who are directly interfacing with each other.
There you go, Rosemary. So you can do the call, get
Yeah,
some
find
value,
out.
but if it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense.
You
But Neil's
nope.
going to be transparent regardless.
You will sign an NDA, and behind that NDA is every member, and that has to be honored.
Very good, Neil. Well, man, so appreciate you. Love to have you back on again. We have no
Okay.
plans to do this session again, but
Yeah,
obviously you're discovering new things all the time.
right on.
I'd love to stay in touch because, man, we haven't
Okay.
we haven't really connected like this in a long time, and it's been so great.
Well, never say never, man. Let's see what happens.
All right, thanks so much, Neil.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye.